I never saw it coming. The woman I loved, the one I gave everything to, chose her career over our life together. I watched as she climbed to fame, leaving me in the shadows, forgotten. Every smile she flashed on TV was a dagger in my heart. I tried to save us, but she was too far gone, lost in her own world of lies and deception. Now, as she basks in her success, she has no idea what's coming. This isn't just about revenge. It's about reclaiming what's mine. And when I'm done, she'll know exactly what she's lost. A restless Bella could hardly wait as she saw Mr. Hank step out of the delivery truck. She quickly ran from her aunt's office to the loading dock and greeted him with a cheerful embrace. "Mr. Hank, you're back!" she exclaimed. He chuckled. "Hey there, sweet girl, I'm back for a few weeks." Spotting the tray of drinks from Starbucks he was holding, Bella smiled and asked, "Are those for us?" "Yes, they are. Your Aunt Morgan told me what to get for all of you," he replied with a smile. Bella felt joy spread through her. She always looked forward to afternoon treats that Hank brought for her, her Aunt Morgan, and her older sister Amber. He had been away for a while working another job that took him out of town. He was dressed in his familiar work clothes, cargo shorts, a polo shirt, and a baseball cap with the food bank logo. Aunt Morgan, who was actually her great-aunt, managed the food bank. Bella and her sister spent most of their summer there, and they had recently started attending summer camps, which they really enjoyed. After camp, they would hang out with their aunt until it was time to go home. The girls and their mother lived with Aunt Morgan and Uncle Bill. Morgan and Bella thanked Hank for the drinks. Hank handed a frappuccino to Amber, who mumbled a brief, "Thank you." Morgan was a bit disappointed with Amber's reply, but she chose not to press her. "Thanks for the drinks, Hank. You really didn't have to do this." "I'm always happy to help," he said. Hank turned back to Bella and asked, "So, Bella, your aunt told me you've been going to camps. What have you been doing?" The lively 8-year-old eagerly told him all about her experiences over the past few weeks. They had received scholarships that covered their camp fees. Each week was different, and one of the camps was focused on technology, where Bella got a new iPad and Amber received a MacBook. To their surprise, they were allowed to keep the devices. Bella enthusiastically shared stories of her adventures, speaking for a long while. Hank asked Amber, "How do you like your new laptop?" Amber gave him a smile. "I love it. It came with a typing program, and I'm learning how to type." "I bet you're doing an amazing job," Hank replied. Morgan smiled, knowing that Hank hadn't shared whether he was the one who arranged the camp scholarships or provided the tech for the girls, but he hadn't denied it either. She and the girl's mother were pleasantly surprised by his kindness. Bella asked curiously, "Where did you go while you were away?" "I went to Australia and Singapore. Do you know about those places?" "I know about Australia, but not—" "What's the other one?" Bella answered. "Singapore. Let me show you," he said, and quickly pulled up a map on her iPad. He pointed out where they were located compared to their hometown. Then he opened an app called Stack the Countries, which he thought would help her learn more about geography. Hank shared stories about his trips and what he did while he was there. When it was time for him to go, he needed to unload the truck and help stock the food bank. As he worked, Morgan and the girls said goodbye. Such sweet girls, he thought. They reminded him of his children when they were younger. He felt happy to bring a bit of joy to them over the summer. Taking a break from his busy life in Pittsburgh felt like a great choice. The next day, Hank returned with more food donations and drinks for the girls. Bella asked him, "Do you work at night too?" He laughed. "Not at the office. I work at a tire factory nearby in the mornings. I spend my afternoons here during the summer, and I usually do a few hours of work at home in the evenings, unless I decide to take a break. I'm hoping to go fishing one evening this week." "Can I come too?" Bella asked excitedly. "I don't think your mom will let you go alone with me." "Maybe if your Uncle Bill comes too, she'll agree," Hank replied, raising an eyebrow at Morgan. She laughed. "Oh, he'll jump at the chance. Just tell him when and where, and he'll be there." "Great. Let's plan for Thursday afternoon. He can bring his fishing pole if he wants, but I'll bring plenty of gear and drinks," Hank said. "With that kind of offer, I'm sure he'll be in," Morgan replied. Bella felt thrilled because she had only been fishing once before, and she could barely remember it. Even Amber seemed interested, despite trying to act indifferent. On Thursday afternoon, Bill arrived at the food bank to switch cars with Morgan so he could take the girls to the lake. Hank had his SUV filled with fishing gear, drinks, and snacks. Bill brought a couple of fishing rods, and Hank had several. They planned to use chicken livers and live minnows to catch fish. The start of the afternoon was slow, but as they changed bait, the fish started biting. Hank and Bill cast the lines for the girls and let them reel in the fish. Once they began catching fish, the girls couldn't contain their excitement. Of course, the excitement often comes all at once. As soon as they caught their fifth crappie, one of the floats tied to a chicken liver went under the water. Bella was still bringing in her crappie, and Hank noticed that Bill seemed to be moving slowly because of an old injury. So he quickly moved to the rod that was bending and grabbed it. He handed it to Amber and helped her reel in the catfish, allowing her to take charge of the process. It was quite a challenge, and Amber had a lot of fun. After about 10 minutes, she finally got it into the net, and it turned out to be a nice 4-pound catfish. Bill and Hank praised her for her effort, and suddenly, she felt happy to spend time with Hank. Hank arranged for some delicious Bojangles chicken, biscuits, and sides to be delivered, and they enjoyed their meal under a big oak tree. It turned into a lovely evening. Later, Morgan came by and drove the girls home so they could freshen up and get some rest before summer camp the next morning. The men cleaned the fish and put them in a cooler for Bill to take home, promising a fish fry soon. Bill enjoyed himself too and was thrilled that the girls had such a great time. After the girls left while cleaning the fish, Bill asked, "Hank, all I've heard from Morgan is that you've been volunteering for a long time and you work at the tire factory nearby. But based on that brand-new Honda Pilot you're driving, your involvement in these summer camps, and your easygoing manner, I have a feeling you might be more than just an ordinary factory worker." Hank chuckled and replied, "Honestly, Bill, there's not much to me. I'm from Pittsburgh, where the factory headquarters are. I travel a bit for work and have a project that lets me be here this summer. My family enjoys Asheville, and we have a vacation home here, so it's easy to work from this area. I'm figuring out how I can work here more often." "So you are more than just a factory worker?" "I am. I'm in charge of all the company's finances. What about you? What did you do before you retired?" "I was a mailman and drove a postal truck. I was in an accident a few years ago that forced me to retire, and that's why I walk with a limp. I'll never be fully okay again, but I improve a little each year. I have a 2-acre garden that keeps me busy during summer. The girls or their moms sometimes help me in the mornings, but it's mostly my summer project." Bill thought for a moment and continued, "So, based on what you just said, do you have CFO after your name?" Hank nodded. "That, along with some other fancy titles." Bill noticed a ring on Hank's finger and asked, "Is your wife still in Pittsburgh? Is she coming down?" "She's also traveling for work. When she's away, I use my project as an excuse to work from here because I enjoy it here. She's been traveling a lot lately, and I've told her I'm not happy about it." He shrugged and added, "I'm not sure what will happen next." Bill nodded. "Any kids?" "2. A son in college and a daughter who graduated with a marketing degree last year. How about you?" "2 kids, but they are in their 30s and live in Charlotte with their families. I have 3 grandchildren so far, 5 if you count Amber and Bella, and I like including them." Hank nodded, understanding. Bill said, "Thanks for today. I know you can't do this all the time, but if you ever feel like it again, let me know and we'll come back." The girls had fun, too. Hank smiled. "You can count on it." Once Hank got home, he put his gear away and took a shower. As he got into bed, he checked his phone for the 10th night in a row. There were still no messages or texts from Catalina or Kat, his wife. The next morning at 7 a.m., Hank pulled into the factory's parking lot to use a small conference room, where he always went since there were no extra offices available. Everyone was on their best behavior because one of the senior managers was in town. The longer Hank stayed, the more relaxed the workers became. He felt he had good relationships with many people at the plant, no matter their job. Just before he got out of his car to go inside, his phone beeped. He picked up a Skype call. "Hey, Scott, what's up? How's Barcelona?" Scott and his wife, Tina, were part of Kat's production team. Scott handled camera and sound, while Tina was the director. They were key contributors to his wife's crew. or they had been. What began as just Catalina, the kids, and Hank helping her with a side project away from her job at Heinz had slowly grown into a successful career. She could cook very well, had a vision for home improvements, and turned that into a hit PBS show that reached many people from northeastern to midwestern states, even having fans in North Carolina and Tennessee. Their big break came one night at a Pittsburgh Penguins tailgate party. She, Hank, and a neighbor were hosting a festive party at a Penguins game, sharing free samples of her food and selling a cookbook filled with her recipes. She looked sharp, as many do at the games, and a cameraman and reporter happened to stop by. Catalina found herself on camera and soon became a local TV star. Her beauty and Spanish background certainly helped. She had a voice like Penelope Cruz and looked like Salma Hayek, along with a bubbly personality reminiscent of Sofia Vergara. She embraced her Spanish roots and used her maiden name, Neves, on television. Many admired her for her charm and presence. When she and Hank decided she needed a special kitchen for her show, they filmed everything, from planning with the architects to working with suppliers. Scott and Tina, a couple in their late 20s, joined to help with the production. Before that, Hank and the kids had taken the lead. They built a cozy studio on their 2-acre property north of Pittsburgh. Hank and Catalina put a lot of effort into landscaping and decorating the small barn-like building, creating a lovely filming space that captured a warm and inviting aesthetic. What began as a mix of YouTube and PBS turned into a local PBS show, which eventually spread to over 20 cities. Catalina attracted interest from various networks like the Cooking Channel, Food Network, and Netflix. She had many sponsors and had just published her 5th cookbook, which landed on the New York Times bestseller list. Her popularity was soaring. Sadly, this success came at a cost to her marriage. Catalina's focus shifted to her career, and she often found herself in the spotlight. Her fashion ranged from relaxed cooking outfits to elegant attire for events. She gained over 1 million followers on social media. Throughout her journey, Hank stood by her side, providing support. To break into the national scene, she hired a new agent named Sheila and a producer-editor named Felicia, who encouraged her to pursue bigger opportunities. Recently, her social media posts shifted from recipes and kitchen tips to a greater focus on her life. 4 years ago, she appeared in only a small portion of her photos. Now, she was featured in most of them. Hank suspected that the changes in her team influenced this shift. When Hank told Catalina he wouldn't join her for a month-long trip to Spain, she was taken aback. After informing Scott and Tina, they grew concerned. By that time, Hank was in Asia, and they communicated through texts about the situation. This was set to be the first week of filming in Spain. Hank was curious about how this would unfold. Scott asked, "Are you ready to go? We're sending you a first-class ticket to Barcelona. Tina's here with me." "Hey, Tina." "Hey, Scott. Catalina has not been happy lately. She's had a tough week. You weren't here to help before she arrived on set, and we're behind schedule. It's been a struggle without you to support her. We might need to take a break, but we really can't afford it. Just know you owe us dinner and drinks when we get back." "Sure, but I won't be coming and she knows it. I've had enough of this new Catalina. If I can't have my old cat back, I don't want to be part of this. She can stay in Spain for all I care." Scott replied, "Morellis has been here and she's not pleased with Sheila or Felicia. I think she misses the older version of her daughter, too." Hank asked, "Is it time to take a break?" "Not today. The contractors have a lot to finish, so she's gone to her mom's place. Tina and I will stay and film their progress and plan shots for next week. We hope to start cooking soon, or we'll fall behind. It's a good crew, but they're struggling with the timeline." Hank chuckled. "Sounds like I made the right choice to stay back." Tina asked, "Are you serious about her staying in Spain? We've known you both a long time, and this past year has been challenging. Are you okay?" "I don't know. I'm preparing for the possibility that we might not. I haven't shared this with anyone else, but we are officially separated. I haven't told Eva or Eric, and if she has said anything, they haven't mentioned it to me. You two are the only ones I've confided in. I'm working from Asheville while she's away, but please don't tell her." "Separated? Wow," said Scott. "I understand. Living with her has been tough this past year. Tina warned me that if I treated her like that, she'd be very upset. That wasn't the beginning, but it was when our marriage problems really stood out. I tried talking to her, but she thinks I'm being difficult. I believe that now the kids are grown, we want different things. I just don't know if we can ever agree again. Even though Pennsylvania doesn't have legal separation, I've made it clear that I feel we are separated. If I visit the house, I'll be staying in the guest room. I'm completely out for now. There was a pause on the phone as everyone took in what I had just said. Tina said, "I'm sorry, Scott. It feels like we've made things worse." "No, you two are great friends. She thinks she can enjoy life with her new friends while we just wait for her scraps. That's not going to work. I hope when you return, you can think about starting a family. You've talked about it before, so maybe you're getting close." Scott replied, "We've been thinking about it. We've quietly looked into jobs in Pittsburgh. We don't want to leave Kat, but sometimes I wonder if she'll move to New York and leave us behind. She might even come here to Barcelona. We've had to hire someone to keep wandering fans away." I'm not shocked. Good for her if that's what she wants. She may learn that not everything is as wonderful as it seems. If things turn tough for her, we won't be around to help. I'm sorry, Hank. You've been a good partner and a great friend. Let us know if we can help. Thank you. I really appreciate your call. Anytime. As Hank walked into the building, he remembered why he was working from Asheville. Thank goodness for the food bank and those two girls who keep him focused on something positive. He dreaded the thought of being in Pittsburgh if Kat was there. Even if she became famous and moved to New York, he couldn't shake the feeling of being the ex-husband of Catalina Neves. He could almost hear the guys say, "You left her?" Yep, any man with self-respect would. That afternoon, before the girls came to the food bank, he decided to make the call to Kat. It was 8 p.m. in Barcelona, so not too late. It would be his first call to her in weeks. She had called him while he was in Singapore, trying to get him to visit. He stood firm, which made her very upset. She even referred to him in unflattering terms. He wondered how she would respond today. He rang her phone, but it just kept ringing. Finally, he left a voicemail. "I hope you're doing well. Call me back if you can." He thought maybe she was visiting her mom, who lived in Barcelona. He always liked Marilis Neves. She was sweet with a bit of spice and had always treated him well. He used an app to check if Kat was at her mother's apartment. She wasn't there. She was downtown shopping. Oh well, the girls were excited with their drinks and thanked him again for taking them fishing. Morgan noted that with one more trip, they could have a big fish fry. He looked forward to that. The next morning, Hank received a text from Kat that read, "Sorry I missed you. Sheila and I were out shopping for the show." He suspected she wasn't truly sorry to miss him. He sighed. He had pushed her into a choice, and it seemed she had made that choice. Early the following week, while working at the food bank and thinking about his evening plans, he felt it was time to finally meet the girl's mother. He asked, "How would you all like to eat at your mother's restaurant tonight?" "My treat." This surprised everyone since they had been there many times but had never eaten a meal there. Morgan said, "Hank, are you sure? It's a nice place. I don't want to put you out." "I appreciate that, but I'm good. Plus, I'd like their mom to see I'm not a bad guy." Both Amber and Bella perked up at the mention of their mom. Morgan added, "Oh, don't worry. She doesn't really know you yet, but she knows your name. You'd be surprised what's online about you. Mr. Henry Reed, CFO, CMA, CPA, and MBA from Pittsburgh." Hank nodded. "I hope you didn't think I was hiding anything." "Nope. I've appreciated your help at the food bank and your company's support over the years. We appreciate what you've done for the girls. For now, your story stays private, but I hope you'll share one day." "Thank you, and I will. I'll know more soon." Bella asked, "What do those letters mean?" Morgan explained, "It means he's important." Hank chuckled. "No, it just means I studied a lot and passed some tests." "Morgan, don't make it seem like it's more than that. What I do is not who I am. I work to take care of my family, that's all." "Well, your work here is appreciated by many families. I hope you will keep it up." "Thanks. My company enjoys supporting this organization, and I like it too." That evening, Hank stood outside Malta, one of Asheville's newer and nicer restaurants. He had checked it out a few times since meeting the girls and was looking forward to a wonderful dinner. It was in an old building in downtown Asheville, but instead of having a rustic look, it was decorated in a bright and cheerful way. The high ceilings and colors like white and blue made the place feel lively, with pretty tiles on some of the walls. The restaurant served Mediterranean food. Since Malta is right in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea, the menu featured dishes from all the countries around it. Each month, they changed a part of the menu to highlight a different country. This month's focus was Greece. When Morgan and Bill arrived with the girls, they were all dressed nicely for their outing. Bill wore jeans with a sport coat, and Hank had a blazer over his khakis. The ladies had on pretty dresses, and Morgan had done the girls' hair beautifully. Once they sat down, the girls wiggled in their seats, bubbling with excitement. Bella told the waitress, "Our mama works here." Hank hoped that would mean she would come out soon. And it did. It was easy to recognize her as she walked toward them. There likely weren't many cooks or chefs in the restaurant wearing a tall white hat, and Hank could see some family traits in her face. She wasn't a supermodel, but she was attractive, even in her chef's outfit, which covered most of her. As she got closer, Hank stood up, followed by Bill, who stood as Morgan nudged him to do so. Julia smiled when she saw both men standing for her. "Hi, I'm Julia. You must be Hank. It's nice to meet you." "I'm pleased to meet you, Julia. Thanks for bringing everyone. I think this is their first time eating here together. I'm happy to do it. I wanted you to see me since I've been spending time with your family. It felt like a good chance for that. I'm glad you did. The girls have really enjoyed this summer, and Morgan has appreciated your help at the food bank. Being around them has been nice for me as well." She paused briefly to think about that. They chatted for a few minutes, and as it was only early on a Wednesday evening, the restaurant started to get busy, so Julia needed to return to the kitchen. Before she left, Hank took a photo of her with her family. Morgan asked, "Please send that to me." He did. With that done, Hank relaxed and enjoyed his meal. Everyone seemed to be having a great time, and the food was delicious. Before they left, Julia came back to thank them for coming, gave her girls a warm embrace, and thanked Hank for treating them. She shook his hand before they walked out. Hank noticed the girls glancing back at their mother, smiling as Morgan led them out. Chapter 2. Later that week, Hank took an afternoon to take Morgan and the girls to a water park. While Morgan stayed under an umbrella wearing her hat and sunglasses to keep an eye on their things, Hank joined the girls on all the rides, getting soaked again and again. They had so much fun that they all fell asleep in the SUV as they drove back to the food bank, where Hank helped them into Morgan's car to take them home. On the drive, Morgan and Hank made plans for more fishing next week and for a fish fry the following Sunday when Julia wasn't going to be working. The only message Hank received recently from Barcelona was from Morelis, Kat's mom. It simply said, "We miss you. I wish you were here." He replied, "Miss you too. It's not just me who misses you, but she won't say it. That's why I'm not there. Love you." She sent a sad emoji and responded, "Love you too. Come visit me anytime." He answered, "Of course, you're always welcome to stay as long as you want." He chuckled when the 69-year-old woman sent a smiley emoji and replied, "Be careful, I might take you up on that." That night he called his son Eric, who was still in college. Eric knew Hank had been busy traveling, and he had been focused on his studies. They chatted for a few minutes about life in Pittsburgh and Asheville. Just as Hank was about to hang up, Eric asked, "Dad, have you heard from Mom? She hasn't called me. Do you know how her shoot in Spain is going? I tried to call her, but she didn't answer. She sent a text saying sorry. I talked to Tina and Scott last week, and they were busy with filming. She hardly has time for us anymore. Do you think we did something wrong to push her away?" Hank shook his head. "Not at all. She's very focused on becoming a food celebrity and hasn't looked back at her family in a while. I thought not going with her to Spain would make her see things differently, but it seems not. It surprised me and Ava. It worries us too." "Have you tried calling her again?" "Once, like you. No answer, just a text." "You might want to try again, but I wouldn't lose sleep over it. She knows we care about her. We can't make her want to spend time with us." Eric agreed. "I feel the same way. Love you, son. We love you too, Dad." After hanging up, Hank felt troubled. Even if Kat wasn't alone, he wondered if she would realize what she had given up. Would it even matter to her? Fishing was the next Tuesday, and although they didn't catch as many fish as before, they had a great time. Once again, Hank ordered food to be brought to them. This time, the girls wanted pizza. With not many fish biting, the girls cared more about the pizza than the fishing. Later, Morgan and Julia arrived to pick up the girls. She shook Scott's hand and told him to come hungry for the planned fish fry on Sunday. It was the first time he had seen Julia's hair down and in regular clothes. He had suspected it all along. She was an attractive woman. Not everyone would agree she was as stunning as the glamorous Catalina, but her shoulder-length brown hair was lovely, and her green eyes sparkled. She didn't smile with her teeth much, but when she did, it was warm and sweet, and it could light up the room. Hank asked her, "Julia, since you aren't busy this Sunday, would you like to take the girls on a short hike that morning?" She paused to think and then said, "I think they would enjoy that. Why don't you come over for breakfast and then we can go afterwards?" "Sounds great," he replied. Later that week, Hank talked to his daughter Ava, just like he did with his son. She was focused on her job and had been loving her new independence. She planned to spend Labor Day with him, whether in Pittsburgh or Asheville, which made him happy. He suggested they meet in Asheville. On Saturday afternoon, he got a Skype call from Scott and Tina. Hank greeted them. "Hey, how's it going? Did you start cooking on time?" Scott replied, "We did, but it's been tough all week. We didn't get much sleep. For the past 4 weeks, every shoot was supposed to feature her shopping at specific markets or cooking in a new kitchen. Everything had been planned out. Felicia wants some unexpected shots at various stores and the beach, but we're not ready for that. We don't have the right gear. I'm not even sure if I can find the equipment to get the smooth shots they want." The Queen's response to all of this was, "Figure it out. She won't be happy with the costs involved." Hank chuckled. "I've seen your contract. She has to cover your expenses. Just get what you need and don't stress about it." "I know, but it's frustrating. If you were here, you could help talk her out of some of these ideas. Or at least, you could check out the beach for a good spot and help me plan. That would save me a lot of time." "Sorry, Scott. She's not listening to me these days. She won't even return my calls." Tina chimed in. "Speaking of that, there's something we should tell you. We don't want to worry you, but you need to know." "Uh-oh. What's wrong?" Tina continued. "Some guy from the local soccer team has been hanging around every day this week. It's hard to believe, but that team is as popular here as the Steelers and Penguins combined. Kat thinks having him on the show could help her. She and this guy are getting to know each other a little. Nothing too much yet, but Scott and I are concerned. We've been keeping quiet, but we are worried. Have you seen her posts? She met him and some of the FC Barcelona team while out last weekend with Felicia and Sheila." "No, I've been intentionally avoiding her updates. The only thing I want from her is an apology and for her to come home. Since that's not happening soon, I'm focused on what's going on here." "That's probably wise," Tina said. "I told her this separation could turn into a permanent split if she uses it as an excuse to pursue a different connection." Scott added, "We understand. Her mom has been around every day. Felicia and Sheila don't like it, but at least they're keeping quiet. It's amusing, though. Kat and the soccer guy converse in a friendly way in English when her mother is nearby, but they switch to Spanish when she's not. Tina can understand them, and trust me, it gets a bit playful. Thank goodness for Marilis. But I shouldn't have to rely on her to save my marriage. No, I think we're nearing the end. We're sorry to share this with you, Hank, but you deserve to know. You're great friends, and I appreciate it. If I can ever help you, just ask. Well, if we stop working, we might need your help for a bit. You're always welcome with me. Thanks, Hank. Take care. You too." Hank thought about their conversation, then decided to go for a run to clear his mind and relieve some stress. He shook his head, feeling confused, but he wouldn't let himself be surprised it came to this. Disappointed? Yes. Surprised? No. Once outside, he still remembered his talk with Kat as if it had just happened. In fact, this was probably the 10th time he had replayed it in his mind. He hoped it would be the last, but he doubted it. 8 weeks earlier, Catalina had been spending a lot of time in New York because of her agent, Sheila. He couldn't blame her. That's where many important people worked. Kat and Sheila had been trying for months to persuade them to give Kat her own show. It seemed like they were close to a deal with a big cable network, but she was away a lot. Plus, she never addressed the discomfort he felt a year ago during their last shoot in Madrid. Just like this year, they had found an apartment that needed fixing up. He and Kat worked with Sheila and Felicia to get the place ready for renovations during the first 2 weeks, and then for a cooking show that would be filmed in the last 2 weeks. They planned to film 16 episodes over 4 weeks. It was their 4th time doing this, their first time abroad, and their first time with Sheila and Felicia. Kat and Hank arrived a few days early to relax and do some sightseeing. When they checked the apartment, it wasn't ready for a TV production. Kat and Hank started calling people to make sure everything was set for when Scott and Tina arrived, along with the local workers. By the first day of filming, there were still many questions to answer. Hank tried to help by working closely with the workers alongside Kat. Unfortunately, Hank's Spanish was not very good, so they often had to repeat themselves to understand each other. Sheila and Felicia edited the first 6 episodes in a way that made Hank look a bit lost. Scott and Tina weren't editing those episodes and didn't know what was happening. By the time the 6th episode aired on TV, Hank was very upset. Friends and co-workers were shocked because they knew Hank was smart and held a high position in a large company. Some of the sponsors were also surprised, since they had known Kat and Hank for years. The show looked great. The apartment and kitchen turned out well. The cooking segments and local market visits were colorful and enjoyable. Still, no one understood why Hank was portrayed in a silly way in the first episodes. Hank and Kat had a significant argument over it. She explained, "Felicia and Sheila just wanted to add some humor to the show." She continued, "Everyone who knows you understands you aren't really like that. It's reality TV. People know it's not fully real and you were just acting." Hank replied, "Do you know how many calls I've gotten from family, friends, and co-workers asking if we are getting a divorce? That's the only thing they can think of to explain how I was shown. They can't understand why you would feel that way about me. I'm not making this up. That's what people keep asking." "Oh, come on, Hank. Nobody believes that. They all know I care about you deeply." "I guess they do. Your show presented something different in the first 6 episodes." This gave her pause. She said, "I keep telling you that everyone knows reality TV isn't completely real. They'll forget about it soon. The last few episodes were some of my best and have been very popular." Hank replied, "I thought I knew you, Kat. I trusted you to look out for me like I would for you. Even if it wasn't on purpose, it seems I'm not a priority for you." "Sure, Hank. What's on your mind?" Kat replied, turning away from her work to focus on him. "I've been thinking a lot about us lately," he began, searching for the right words. "I feel like we've drifted apart, and it's been really hard for me." Kat frowned slightly, a mix of annoyance and concern crossing her face. "I've been busy, Hank. You know that. But I didn't think it was affecting us this much. It's not just the busyness, though," he continued. "It's like you're so wrapped up in your career that you don't realize how much I miss spending time with you. We used to share everything, and now it feels like we're just 2 people living in the same house." She crossed her arms, clearly defensive. "I'm doing this for us, Hank. You know how much this means to me. I want our family to have a better life." "I appreciate that, I really do. But we also need to take care of each other. The kids notice it too. They miss you, and honestly, so do I." There was a moment of silence, the weight of his words hanging in the air. Kat's expression softened a bit, and she nodded slowly. "I'll try to be more present. I feel like I'm so close to something big, you know? I understand that, but I want us to be a team again. I want to feel like we're both invested in this family, not just focused on our individual goals. Can we at least talk more about what's happening in each other's lives?" Kat sighed, her frustration beginning to fade. "Okay, I can do that. I don't want to lose what we have, Hank. I really don't." "Neither do I. Let's find a balance. I'll be in Hendersonville this week, but maybe we can set aside some time to talk when I'm back?" "Absolutely. I promise I'll make time for us," she said, her tone more resolute. Hank felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps they could begin to mend the rift that had formed between them with a little more communication and understanding. "It's important," he said. She sipped her coffee and looked at her phone, raising her eyebrows as if she expected him to talk. "Can you put your phone down, please?" She sighed and said, "I'm all yours." "I'm not going with you to Spain," he stated. This caught her attention. "What? Why not? You have enough vacation time. Can't you get off work?" "It's not about vacation or work. I just don't want to go." "I still don't understand." "Why not?" she asked. "I never got an apology from you for what happened last year, and I won't let myself be hurt like that again." She scoffed. "You've got to be kidding me. We talked about that. It was nothing." "It meant something to me. Even Robert, the CEO, asked me if I was going this year. He advised me to make sure that the show didn't make the company look bad. No way! Don't tell me he doesn't get reality TV. She shook her head. What's your problem? It doesn't affect your job. Do you know what I do, Kat? Have you ever heard of Sarbanes-Oxley? That means I, as CFO, and Robert, as CEO, have to personally sign off on our company's finances. If there's any mistake, we could end up in serious trouble. Our shareholders don't want to see me looking foolish on your show. You might not have meant to, but what you did hurt me professionally and personally. I won't let that happen again. I have to look out for myself, even if my wife won't. I can't believe this. You're supposed to be part of the cast. What will we do without you? You'll figure it out. I'm giving you a month's notice instead of surprising you last minute like you did with me last year. He could see that she was starting to realize how hurt he really was. That was something she needed to consider. Still, he was risking her show, which seemed unfair. I can't believe it. After all these years working together, you're just going to walk away? That's not all, Kat. He pulled out an envelope from his bag, which he had left in the living room. Inside are copies of some papers my lawyer is holding for me. In Pennsylvania, if both people don't want a divorce, we must be separated for 12 months before I can file. Today marks the start of that period. If we don't fix our problems by then, I will file. If you want to agree to a divorce sooner, we can do that. You should have a lawyer look at these. They are fair and do not touch your business. Are you serious? After 26 years, you're just going to leave without trying to fix our marriage? I want to fix our marriage, but I've been trying to get you to talk to me for the last 10 months. You don't seem to see that there is a problem. Honestly, Kat, I think we want different things going forward. That isn't true. I want us to work together on our marriage and my career. How can we do that if you don't come to Spain with me? How can I be with you if you let others embarrass me again? He replied. He noticed her jaw clench at that comment. She was likely only seeing her side of things. We aren't a couple anymore. We're hardly friends. What was once our shared life has become all about your career. I don't blame you for following your dreams, but how many nights have we truly spent together in our home lately? We rarely talk, and when we do, your mind seems to be elsewhere. Right now, it feels like you're waiting to check your phone instead of having a conversation. You could consider leaving your job and joining me. Then we could work together all the time. I earn as much as you do now. When I get my national show, there won't be a need for you to work anymore. Even if I don't get my own show, we will be fine, especially when you start receiving your benefits in a few years. We're saving money quickly, and we could both retire in a few years if we wanted to. Except, we both know you might not want to. Sweetheart, I'm in demand right now. I know it won't last forever, so I'm trying to make the most of it while I can. I wish we could do this together. Kat, up until the last year we were working together, you had your family, your friends, plus Tina and Scott cheering you on. But something has changed in the past year or so. I have a feeling it's about Sheila and Felicia, but maybe it's you. I enjoyed supporting you as you became well known here. I back your dreams of going national, but I can't support how it's happening. I'm leaving soon for a week in North Carolina at our factory. After that, I'll be in Australia and Singapore for 3 weeks. Then you'll be in Spain for 4. That means 2 months apart. I hope you'll think of me while I'm away, and when you return, we can work on our relationship again. With a hint of defiance, she asked, What if I discover I don't need you anymore while we're apart? Aren't you risking that? Honestly, I think you might already feel that way. I hope this conversation and those papers would show you I'm serious about trying to fix things. I love you, and I want us to be a team again. We're not even close to that right now. And just to clarify, we're still married. You can't be with anyone else while we're sorting this out. If I find out you have, then it's over. That made her angry. I've never betrayed your trust, and I've had many chances. Should I congratulate you for being loyal, or are you suggesting it might happen someday? You can be so frustrating. No, I don't want to wander, but you make me so mad. Why can't you be more supportive of my career? He just stared at her, reflecting on their 13 years working together. How could she not see it? Shaking his head, Hank stood up from the table and walked to the guest bedroom. He had already packed his bags, taking advantage of the time she wasn't home. She followed him, watching as he got ready to leave. It took just a few minutes. As he reached the door, she said, I do love you, Henry. I love you too, Catalina. I really want us to fix our marriage. As he drove away, he thought, I just wish you felt more appreciation for our life together. Watching him drive off, she believed he would return. She wasn't truly worried about the divorce papers. He wouldn't leave her. She was even surprised by his decision not to go to Spain. She figured he would be there when she got back. Then she started thinking about how to plan the shoot without him in it. Now, after talking to Scott and Tina and not hearing from her in 4 weeks, he assumed that when she returned, they would likely go their separate ways. Maybe not. He might try one more time to convince her to mend their relationship unless she acted impulsively. Then again, maybe he was the foolish one. He didn't think so, but who knew? He hated the waiting. After more than 25 years, she deserved a couple more weeks until she came back from Spain. He felt awful for not wanting to think about their marriage. When he did, it only brought him pain. At that moment, he understood how some people could turn to drinking to escape. He was grateful he chose running instead. When he got home, he checked Kat's social media for the first time in a while. There were photos of her on set, shopping with Sheila, visiting tourist spots, and one with Morellis, followed by pictures from clubs. Those pictures upset him. Her outfit was more revealing than he felt was appropriate, especially for someone in a committed relationship. Sure, she looked great, but she was married, and there she was with half the FC Barcelona soccer team. Her caption read, "My mom, who lives nearby, will be so jealous." He briefly thought about sending it to Morellis and asking, "Jealous yet?" But he didn't want Kat to know he was keeping tabs on her. He also didn't think Morellis should have to fix things. He was almost certain Kat didn't even want to try, but he wanted to save the marriage, even if it seemed lost. At least he would be able to look in the mirror and say he tried, even if she wouldn't. So he typed, "Jealous yet?" and pressed send, wondering if he'd get a reply. The next morning, he saw Morellis's reply. "Not jealous, furious. She and I are not happy with each other." Chapter 3. Hank drove to Morgan and Bill's place for breakfast, and it was a special treat. Julia and Morgan had prepared a big meal for everyone. Hank felt lucky to be married to someone who loved to cook. He thanked them both for their efforts. Morgan made sandwiches and packed chips and granola for their short hike. Hank put them in his backpack, ready for their adventure. They loaded the girls into his SUV and drove to the parking area for the Black Balsam Knob hike, located off the Blue Ridge Parkway, a bit southwest of Asheville. While it was only a 1.5-mile hike there and back, he wanted to make sure it wasn't too hard for Bella, who was just 8 years old. This hike was lovely, especially after they passed the tall fir trees and entered a beautiful open path through a meadow leading to the top. The elevation gain of the hike was only 300 feet, making it a gentle climb. In the warm summer, the trail was filled with colorful wildflowers, blueberries, and blackberries. They found blooming rhododendrons and mountain laurels among the rocky areas. Honeybees and bumblebees happily moved from flower to flower. Unlike many other hikes in the Smokies, this one was simply a pleasant walk along one of the prettiest paths in the mountains. At the rocky peak, they enjoyed a wonderful view and sat down to have their sandwiches and snacks. As they hiked up, the girls often stopped to look at everything around them, making the journey longer. They took lots of pictures, including a group photo at the top. On the way back down, they walked at an easy pace with fewer stops, and many people passing by smiled and said hello. Julia noted how normal and happy they looked together. Julia felt a warm swell of emotion when she saw Bella reach for Hank's hand as they descended. It almost made her cry. But it also made her think about keeping some distance if Hank wouldn't be around much longer. Despite this, for a brief moment, she wished he wasn't married. On the drive back, the girls chatted excitedly. Even though they didn't do much hiking, Hank thought they might nap in the back seat. They didn't. Julia, however, remained quiet and needed to be drawn into the conversation. They returned to Morgan and Bill's house in the early afternoon, and Julia told Hank to come back around 6. He wasn't sure how to read her behavior, but he could tell the girls had a great time. Later in the day, Hank showed up with a cooler full of drinks and some wine to share. He also brought a special bottle of scotch for anyone who wanted to try it. When he arrived, he saw many cars parked along the driveway. Kids were playing and adults were chatting, with some smoke drifting from the backyard. Bill spotted him and waved him over. He met many of their friends and neighbors, including a woman from the same factory Hank worked at. He was introduced to Bill and Morgan's kids and their families who visited for the gathering. Bill's grandkids were running around with Amber and Bella, making him feel very welcome. When Bella and Amber paused their play to hug him, several people noticed. Soon, dinner was announced, featuring a delicious spread of fried fish, shrimp, and salads, along with tasty sides and a table full of desserts. Hank spent time talking with Bill and Morgan about Pittsburgh and what was happening in Asheville. After dinner and dessert, he went inside to help wash dishes, a habit he enjoyed. Morgan allowed him to help for a little while before bringing him back outside, joking that he would set a high standard for the rest of them. As the sun began to set, some adults watched a baseball game inside, while others played horseshoes outside. Most were just enjoying conversations. The children continued to play, and Bill had Hank engaged in talks with some neighbors. Julia approached with 3 drinks and bumped her hip against Hank's, handing beverages to both him and Bill. She then invited Hank to step aside for a moment, leading him to 2 lawn chairs under an oak tree where they could quietly observe the backyard activities. Once seated, Hank said, "Thanks for the drinks and the great meal. I don't know how much you made, but everything was delicious." "Thank you. I had a lot of help. Aunt Morgan really planned most of it. I only cooked a few dishes." Hank chuckled. "Just a few, huh? I understand that can still be a lot to manage." She gathered her thoughts before continuing. "I wanted to thank you for today. I loved the hike, but what I appreciated most was seeing how truly happy Amber and Bella were. It's been a long time since they've had such a good summer. I'm glad to hear that. They're wonderful girls." Feeling a bit nervous, she asked, "Can I ask you something personal?" "Of course." "What draws you to the girls? I know you're a good guy, not someone with bad intentions. I did my homework on you, and I was quite surprised by what I found." "You look very different without your goatee from your wife's show," she said, smiling. He chuckled in response. "Aunt Morgan and I both appreciate what you've done for the girls, but I'm curious. Why did you want to help them? They weren't in any kind of trouble or wearing old clothes," she asked. He took a moment to gather his thoughts before he spoke. "Honestly, I've seen them a few times over the years while I volunteered at the food bank. During my first week here this summer, I was unloading a truck when I noticed Amber and Bella reading in Morgan's office. Bella is quite chatty, as you probably know, so she asked if she could talk to me while I worked. Morgan said it was fine, so we chatted. Bella was excited to share what they were doing for the summer, staying with Morgan while you worked. She even mentioned how you're a great cook at a local restaurant. She admires you a lot. I remembered when my daughter Eva was their age and how much fun she had at summer camps. I asked Bella if she went to any camps, and she said no. I could tell she'd love to go, so I looked into scholarships for 2 wonderful girls like them. You've raised such lovely girls. I thought it would be good to help out since I know you're busy, and I wanted to give them some special attention. I hope I didn't overstep any bounds," he said. She laughed. "Yes, you might have crossed a line or two, but thank you. Summers are often dull for them, but this one has been wonderful. Can I ask you something else?" "Of course," he replied. "Did you have anything to do with the summer camp scholarships and the laptop and iPad they got?" He shrugged. "Maybe just a little." She chuckled. "You're quite the handful, aren't you?" "I like to help, so I try to get forgiveness instead of permission. I really wanted to do something nice for the girls, and it's hard to say no to either of them." He quickly reminded himself that he was still married, mostly. Julia added, "Since you're getting involved in their lives, I looked into you. It was easy to find out more once I typed your company name and CFO. I was surprised by what I found. I enjoy your wife's show. She isn't on the PBS channels here, but we've seen what you both have done online. I'm surprised my daughters haven't recognized you yet. When you told Bill your wife was traveling, does that mean she's away filming?" "Yes, she is in Barcelona filming episodes right now. I used to help out with the show, but this year I stepped back. There were a few episodes last year where I felt she portrayed me unfairly. I've wanted to talk to her about it, but I didn't want to risk my job with whatever plans she has this year. I've been working from our factory here and haven't spoken to her since she left for Spain." "I'm sorry to hear that," she said softly. "It's all right. I'm not really happy about it, but I've been trying to mend our marriage for the past year. It's not something I can do alone." They both took a sip from their drinks and watched the activity in the backyard. "Can I ask you a question?" he ventured. She smiled and nodded. "Sure." "What about the girl's father? Was there a man named Mr. LeBlanc?" "Yes, there was. He was from Louisiana, and I met him in Charlotte, where he worked for a pipeline company. He got a promotion that took us back to New Orleans, which he was excited about. I attended culinary school there. We were happy until we found out I was pregnant. Amber was born, and then I was pregnant with Bella when he had a severe accident on an oil rig. After that, he couldn't return to work, and his struggle with pain medication worsened. He stopped going to work, and despite trying to help him, he eventually gave up. After Bella was born, I moved the girls here to live with Aunt Morgan and Uncle Bill. Sadly, one day he took too many pills and got into a car accident. We had little savings, and he had given up his insurance to save money, leaving us with a lot of debt. We've been living here ever since. Once the girls went to school, I started working as a cook and moved up in my career. Now I work as a chef, although I haven't finished my studies. The restaurant I work at is one of two owned by my employers who enjoy calling me a chef. He chuckled. Everything I've tasted from your cooking has been fantastic. Living with Catalina gave me a good taste for food. Also, I'm sorry to hear about your husband. That must have been very difficult. Thank you, she replied, pausing. So do you plan to just be Uncle Hank for the girls? Will you be around after summer? If you're going to be away, please keep your distance from them. I worry about that a little. That's okay. Yes, I'm Mr. Hank, but Uncle Hank is fine too. Honestly, I'm not sure what will happen. Kat has 2 more weeks in Spain, then maybe a week in New York, and then back home to Pittsburgh. I think. I've heard some worrying news about her time in Spain when she's not working. If she wants to try and fix our marriage when she gets back, we can, but I'm not sure it can be saved. If she doesn't want to, I might look for a way to move here and work at the local factory. That's all I know for now. She replied, Thank you for telling me. It's helpful. If you don't mind, let's stick to Mr. Hank until you see how things go. If you end up being here more often, then I wouldn't mind calling you Uncle Hank. I would like that too. If you ever want to talk, just let me know. I know we're both busy, but I could meet you for... Wait, I'm sorry. Meeting with a married man sounds inappropriate. Just come over when I'm not working. Uncle Bill will probably be here, or you can call me in the morning before I go to the restaurant. I need to be mindful of appearances, so I shouldn't look like I'm spending time with a married man. I completely understand. You're wonderful, and I can see why others might think you're with someone. I really appreciate you listening. I'll miss the girls when I go back to Pittsburgh next week. They've been such a help to me. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for being kind to them. They've loved having your attention. And about dating, I don't have the time for that. He found it interesting that she mentioned it. He said, This week will be exciting. The first episode recorded in Spain will be on Thursday on PBS. Oh, I wish I could watch it. Anytime you want, just say the word. We have a computer here that connects to the server the videographer uses. It has all the raw footage and old episodes. Basically, everything she has done is stored there, including her new work. I can see why she's popular. She's charming, and her energy really shines on camera. He nodded. I agree. I'll put last season's episodes on a thumb drive and give them to Morgan tomorrow before I head out. Maybe one day when you're free, you all can come over to watch the latest episode. I'll even cook for you. Or we can order in. She laughed. Oh no, you offered to cook, and I'm taking you up on that. Now you have to show me what you can do after being married to Catalina. He chuckled too, and Morgan, who had been watching them, was happy to see them getting along. She secretly hoped Hank would leave his wife. She knew it was unwise, but felt that way nonetheless. Julia was a devoted mother, always busy, and having Hank around felt like a wonderful support she wanted to keep. Hank left that night with a sense of satisfaction. Julia felt good about managing his interest in her daughters. She recognized that he could be a great partner, but she was firm about her principles regarding married men. However, if he were to become single, Hank dropped off the thumb drive with Morgan as promised and returned to Pittsburgh. He had successful meetings with Robert and his team, particularly because a significant investor was in town, and it was important to make a good impression. When Robert asked Hank about the possibility of returning to the Pittsburgh office, Hank said, I wanted to discuss that. During the pandemic, we showed that we could work effectively from home. I'd like you to consider me working from our factory in North Carolina. I can return here once a month if needed. I haven't made any plans, but Kat and I aren't progressing, and I enjoy it there. Robert replied, I'm sorry to hear about you and Kat. If things don't improve, we can explore that option. But if it causes difficulties for everyone, you might need to move back here. Does that sound fair? That sounds fair. Thanks for considering it. Hopefully it won't come to that. Speaking of Kat, when will she be back from Spain? This week and next, plus another week in New York. The first episode of this year's show from Spain airs this Thursday. I'm curious to see how it goes without you there. I doubt she'll skip a beat. We'll see. Take care, Hank. Let me know how we can assist. Will do. Hank had dinner with Eva and Eric every night during his trip. Although he enjoyed their company, there was an underlying tension about what lay ahead for him and Kat. He returned to Asheville on Thursday and went straight to the food bank to help. When the girls arrived, they greeted him with warm hugs. He felt a surge of happiness seeing them again, Morgan observed with a smile, feeling joyful inside. That night, he watched the first episode from her recent filming on Scott's server, and it appeared impressive. The first episode typically outlines the plan and showcases computer images of what the final outcome should look like. The apartment this year was significantly larger than last year's, presenting a more substantial challenge. It was an ambitious project, but with support from her sponsors and funds from selling the apartment, she was optimistic about the outcome. All the additional effort should contribute to captivating episodes. Kat looked just as vibrant and lovely as ever. After watching, he sent texts to Scott and Tina, complimenting their work. He also texted Catalina to congratulate her and inquired if he could call her the next day, Friday. She responded, suggesting he call on Saturday afternoon her time. He agreed. On Saturday, Hank woke up early to call Kat, pondering whether their conversation might shift things positively or negatively. She answered promptly. Hey, how are you? What did you think of the show? She asked about the episode right away. I'm good. It felt like you picked up right where you left off last year. The show looked great. How are you? Tired, but doing okay. We had a good week of cooking. My mom is in an episode, and I think it will turn out nice. The apartment is coming along well. Are you still traveling? Yep. Working from Asheville, and I'm staying at our place here? She asked. Is that going well? It's work. Nothing too exciting. You holding up okay? I see you've been busy at the clubs. She hesitated a moment as her mom had mentioned it to her. Oh, that? Just trying to meet new people and make a good impression. Barcelona could be an audience one day. One of their players visited the set. His family owns many villas along the coast and is thinking about sponsoring shows. Wouldn't that be amazing? Sounds promising. It really could be. If I had sponsors in Spain, we might come here more often and count it as a business expense. That sounds awesome, Kat. Listen, I need to go shopping with Sheila. Have a great day. You too, he replied. There were no sweet words exchanged, but at least she asked how he was. He called Tina and Scott answered. Hey, buddy, how's Asheville? Hank laughed and said, Asheville is good. I have a guest bedroom ready for you two. How was your week? I just spoke to Kat and she said the cooking episodes are doing well with Marilis in one of them. That's fantastic. I suppose it's going fine. Nothing too special if you ask me. The episode with Marilis should be interesting. Why's that? Even though she's almost 70, she should still come across well on screen. Besides, she's a lovely lady. Oh, no doubt. She looks good on camera, and she's sweet. But I'm not sure the audience will notice that without some careful editing. Hank asked, What happened? Tina replied, You may not like this, Hank. Oh, no. Her boyfriend, the soccer player, was on set every day this week. He's in quite a few episodes, including the one with Morales. She was giving him really angry looks the whole time. Yesterday, I heard her tell him in Spanish that if he came back next week, she would make filming difficult for him. Hank sighed. Great. If she said that, who knows what she really thinks. In one scene, the boyfriend took a bit of cake batter off Kat's finger. I almost fell off my chair. Scott and I are thinking about quitting. It feels like staying here is somehow supporting what she's doing. No, don't quit your contract. You need the money. Scott said, I don't know if they're actually together, but it's clear she's been out at night with him and others. It may not be showing up on her social media, but it definitely is on his. Dang, I warned her. I won't tolerate anything like that. Tina added. We don't know for sure yet. They are discussing remaking some of his family's villas into episodes. Maybe she's just doing business, but she's acting very friendly. Scott and I will keep an eye on things. I think she's counting on us not to speak up because we fear losing our jobs. I'm with you. Let's get through next week and then decide. We're good for now, but once we have kids, I want to slow down and find something else. Hank shook his head. His wife could be so frustrating. Well, I've got extra rooms. You could move in and find something here. It looks like I'll be staying for a while. We're sorry, Hank. Me too. Just do your best so that your work stays strong. We will. Take care. Once again, Hank felt lost. He wished he could save his marriage, but it took both of them. He thought about Marilise, chuckled, and sent her a text. Make his life difficult. It didn't take long for her to reply. You know it. Even if I don't actually do anything, I can always pretend to make a mistake while holding a knife. Once women get to my age, we tend to forget things, especially with a sharp object in our hands. Don't make me come bail you out, she replied with a smiley emoji. Only if that means you'll come visit. At least I have one child who hasn't lost their mind. Yes, Catalina is an only child. I'm talking about you. You're going to spend Thanksgiving and Christmas here. Count on it. You always know how to make me smile. Hank responded, I just love to see that beautiful smile of yours. Flatterer. All right, you've convinced me. Will my grandkids be there? Oh, it hurts that you're not coming just for me. You're still married to my challenging daughter. If you weren't, maybe things would be different. He wasn't sure how to reply. Then she sent another smiley emoji and said, Take care of yourself, Hank. There are many people who care about you, including me. I'm sure she does too, but she might mess that up. Love you too, Mamacita. Stop it. You know I don't like that nickname. He smiled but nearly spilled his tea when she sent, I only let my special friends call me that, followed by a wink emoji. It was clear someone had helped her with emojis. Probably Tina. That thought made Hank smile for a moment. He really cared for his mother-in-law. Too bad she didn't have another daughter more like her. The next day at lunch, Hank hoped everyone would enjoy his cooking. He had shopped the day before and woke up early to get fresh pita bread from a local bakery. He served homemade sausages and grilled chicken with a rich corn dish topped with cheese. For the side, he made a spinach salad with nuts and cheese, along with a tasty dip made from roasted peppers and tomatoes, perfect for the pita. They had to settle for store-bought ice cream for dessert. When he heard their car pull up, he stepped outside to greet them. The girls looked amazed as they took in the big house, which had a stone front and a great view of the mountains. Inside, he gave them a quick tour, pointing out the spacious kitchen and the lovely backyard with a pool. Hank told Julia, Whenever you or Morgan want to bring the girls to swim, you're welcome. The key is under that flower pot, so I don't need to be here. The girls looked at their mom eagerly. She replied, We'll talk about that later, but only if you eat well at lunch. They did. Hank had told her about the pool, and she promised to bring swimsuits for the girls. He received many compliments on his meal. Julia said, I'm impressed. It's clear you've either been paying attention or practicing. Great job. A bit of both, thanks. Did you watch the episodes? Yes, we did. I have to say, we were surprised by the first few episodes. I don't want to sound rude, but how did she not see how that looked? The recent kitchen episodes were really good, so at least she should have her audience coming back for more. Morgan and Bill nodded in agreement. Hank shrugged. I don't know. I've tried to explain to her how harmful that was, but she doesn't listen. Honestly, right now I think she only cares about becoming famous. I feel bad for our kids, but if she won't listen, there's only so much I can do. Are you ready to watch the new episode? He played it for them while they enjoyed their ice cream. When it finished, Bella said, Mr. Hank, until Mom paused the show so we could see you, we didn't know that was you and your wife. We had no idea you were famous. Hank laughed. Oh, I'm not famous, she is, Morgan added. I believe she had a lot of support from her family to get there. Hank didn't want to delve into that topic, so he simply said, She did. While Morgan helped him clean up, Julia got the swimsuits for the girls. They were thrilled about swimming. After tidying up, Hank changed clothes and met the girls at the pool. He was pleasantly surprised when Julia joined them. Bill went inside to watch a baseball game, but Morgan stayed outside for the swimming. After they all had fun, they changed and the girls wanted to watch more episodes that featured Hank. He set it up for them, and Morgan and Julia stayed to watch while Hank grabbed drinks for himself and Bill. Later, they ordered Chinese food for dinner. When it was time to leave, everyone thanked him for being a wonderful host. He received hugs from the girls, a friendly gesture from Morgan and Julia, and a handshake from Bill. By the time Hank got into bed, he realized he had a really good day. Over at Morgan and Bill's house, everyone was thinking the same thing. Chapter 4. The next day, while the girls were still at camp, Hank stopped by to get the keys for the truck and pick up some donated food. Morgan saw him enter her office and closed the door behind him. When he turned around, she hugged him tightly. "I don't know what your plans are, Hank, but I hope you stick around. You've really made a difference in the lives of those girls and their mother. They aren't in a bad situation, but they all seem happier because of you. Thank you for that." "They've grown on me, too. Such sweet girls. I'm not sure what will happen, but I want to stay involved in their lives if Julia allows it." "Don't worry. I think she's starting to see that having you around is good for everyone." Hank wasn't exactly sure what she meant, but replied, "I'm glad to hear that." Each day, he picked up some drinks for the girls, and they shared stories about their day at camp while he unloaded the truck. On Wednesday, he texted Morellis. "Have you made any changes yet?" She replied with an angry emoji. "I told her that as long as he was around, I wouldn't be. She hasn't called, so I haven't gone back." He replied, "Wow, she is really cutting ties. She isn't foolish. I don't know if it's the fame or the money, but she's lost touch with reality. One day she'll realize what she's done." "I'm sorry, Marilis. I wish I could have helped more." "What? No sweet greetings today?" "I don't want to make your friends feel uncomfortable." "Let me worry about that. I care about you, Hank. You're a great son. Please give my love to the kids." "I will." That night, he would call his children to remind them they were loved. On Friday afternoon, he received a surprising text from Kat. "I'm staying in Spain for another week to finish some things and spend time with my mother. Then I'm off to New York for meetings before heading home. The show isn't the same without you." Hank scoffed at that. "Looks like that's not true." The next message confused him. "I want us to find a way to work on our marriage when I return." "I'd like that too. Say hi to your mom for me." "Will do." An hour later, Scott called. Hank answered, "How did it go?" "The filming was good, but it will raise questions." "How so?" Tina joined the call. "Hey, Hank. Sorry to bring bad news again, but it's really not good. Kat's boyfriend, Lorenzo, was in several episodes this week. They even filmed some in Spanish, which will be sent to Spanish networks to see if they're interested. The two of them were acting very close. Anyone who knows she's married, like her fans at home, is going to wonder what's going on. She still wears her rings." Hank shook his head in disbelief. Tina added, "It gets worse. Kat and Lorenzo have planned a trip together on his yacht in Ibiza. With so much media around, it will be hard for them to stay private. Maybe she doesn't care. If you check his social media, you'll see he's a big sports star. People know who he is, and he has a fiancée who isn't happy with him being out with Kat. I know this is terrible news, but we had to tell you. Also, we're quitting as soon as we're paid." "Wow. I kept hoping she would return, but I see that's unrealistic now. Thanks for the heads up. I know what I have to do." "And what is that?" "File for divorce as soon as she gets back." Tina asked, "Why wait? How would I find her in Ibiza? Even if I knew where she was, how would I deliver the papers there? Is it even legal?" Scott said, "If you're sure about this, we can help. You know we can get things done. Just have your attorney email us the papers. Even if it doesn't follow U.S. procedures, she'll understand what's happening." Hank chuckled. "All right. I'll have him send it to you to print out. Let me know what it costs, and I'll pay you back. Plus, I'll look for jobs for you down here." "Thanks, Hank. We feel let down, too. This isn't the same as a marriage, but she's drifting away. She may as well move to New York or Spain because this won't end well for her. I can't believe she doesn't see that." "I won't argue with you. Keep me updated." Scott replied, "We will. Thank you, both of you. You're like family." "You are too," Tina said back. Hank hung up feeling sad but also relieved. It was over. She wanted out, and he would let her go. She could stay in Pittsburgh, go to New York or Spain. It didn't matter anymore. He couldn't hold on after this past year. He had his lawyer adjust the division of assets slightly since he was planning to help Scott and Tina. Then he asked them to email the updated document to Scott. He didn't know what to do. He felt numb. Maybe he should go home for now. He wouldn't be good company. Luckily, he had finished unloading the truck earlier. Normally, he would help pack food for the food bank, but they would have to do it without him today. Maybe he would catch up this weekend. When he walked into Morgan's office, the girls were on their devices. He smiled and asked to speak to Morgan outside for a moment. He shared that his marriage had ended, and he needed to go home. She understood. She asked, "Home, here, or Pittsburgh?" He said, "This is home now." She hugged him and told him to reach out if he needed anything. Once home, he lay down on the couch and fell asleep. Whether it was from the day's news or relief that the difficult time of the last 18 months was over, he was worn out. Later, he made something to eat, though he couldn't taste it, and watched the Braves game. No point in watching the Pirates since they were going to lose anyway. If there had been ice cream in the house, he would have eaten it all. He settled for popcorn and a few beers instead. Around 10 p.m., he received a text from Morgan. "Can I stop by around 11? I just want to check on you." He thought, "Why not?" and replied, "Sure. See you then." He must have drifted off because he was jolted awake by a knock at the door. Expecting Morgan, he opened the door and was surprised to see Julia standing there in her chef outfit. As soon as the door opened, she greeted him warmly. She said, "Aunt Morgan is in the car. She called me and I left work early to check on you. Are you okay?" "I think so. The strange part is that nothing has really changed since yesterday, but I feel a bit lost. It's a weird feeling. You know that's not true. Your steady support for so many years has been disrupted. Of course, you'll feel strange. When my husband passed away, I wasn't happy with him at the time, but that didn't stop me from feeling a deep sense of loss. Keep yourself busy. It will get better." "That's easier to say than do. I don't feel like doing anything. I don't feel much of anything." She seemed to think about what he said and then replied, "Please, don't make any plans for tomorrow. I can promise you that." "Good. I'll call you in the morning to check on you, okay?" "Okay." She gave him a gentle hug and said, "You know you have family who cares about you, right?" "I do. Thank you, Julia. Your visit really means a lot." She smiled at him and said, "I'll talk to you tomorrow." The next morning he still felt foggy, so he made some coffee and sat outside with it. At 8 a.m., the doorbell rang. He mumbled, "What the?" When he opened the door, the girls greeted him with enthusiasm. Julia stood behind them with a smile, holding a box of donuts. Amber said, "Mom said you needed some cheering up, so we came over. We have a whole day planned." He looked at Julia, still smiling. He knew he wouldn't turn down the girls. "Come in," he said. "Lead the way." They began their day with a hike. When they returned, Morgan and Bill had brought lunch. Later in the afternoon, they went swimming and then played mini-golf at night. Sunday repeated the fun, with the girls arriving early and filling his day with activities. That evening, they all watched a Pixar movie, with a young girl on each side of him. As the girls got ready to leave that night, he thanked them all. Julia was the last to go and gave him a warm smile. "Thank you, Julia. I can't express how grateful I am for everything you all did this weekend." Then, he playfully lifted her up and spun her around, saying, "This is the best I can do right now." Once she was back down, she smiled at him once more, and they were gone. An 8-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 59-year-old were all smiling as Julia got into their SUV. Very early on Monday morning, his phone rang. He saw it was Kat and decided not to answer. He also noticed a text from Scott. "She's been served. Also, I didn't take the pictures people are talking about." Hank thought, "Pictures?" Another text came from Kat. "Call me. It's not what it seems." He thought, "It never is with her." Kat called again, but he ignored it. Another text from Kat said, "I didn't do anything with him." Things were getting interesting. Instead of calling her back, he got up, made coffee, and texted Scott, "I'm all ears." His phone rang right away. When he picked up, he said, "I'm getting strange messages from Kat. Do you want to fill me in before I call her?" "You can thank Tina for letting you sleep in. I wanted to have her served earlier, but Tina reminded me about the time difference and didn't want Kat calling you at an odd hour. Okay, what happened? Our job was straightforward. Last week, while Kat was filming, Tina was able to access Kat's phone and put a tracking app on it because we were suspicious. It was something Kat wouldn't know to turn off. We flew down to Ibiza, which is lovely, by the way. You should visit sometime. Anyway, with that app, we easily tracked him down and observed them. We found an attorney to arrange for her to be served, but no one would do it over the weekend. Well, serve isn't the right word in another country. It's more like officially delivering the papers. This little island off the coast of Spain delayed us until today. The attorney set up for a constable and a small Coast Guard boat to deliver the papers just after noon our time. The interesting part was that a dozen other small boats were following them at a distance. Through our binoculars, we saw the Coast Guard boat arrive. They stood up when it got there. He was in a tight swimsuit and she was dressed lightly. They hadn't left the boat the whole time since they arrived. She covered up quickly, and the officer climbed aboard. After she was served, she hurried back inside, and we haven't seen her since. Tina jumped in. Now here's the rest. Hank wondered what he was about to hear. We suspected that the boats following the Coast Guard were paparazzi. They might not have been there for her, but likely got a tip about Lorenzo with someone else on his yacht. When he and Kat stood up, those cameras must have been flashing away. Within moments, news websites like El País in Madrid, La Vanguardia in Barcelona, and others were showing pictures of Kat and Lorenzo on their pages, using their names in various headlines. Many of the photos were quite clear. Oh no, this just keeps getting worse. I need to warn the kids, Hank said with a sigh. Tina replied, I'm really sorry, Hank. I promise we didn't tell anyone. The only one we spoke with on the island was the attorney who helped us with the papers. Hank answered, It's okay. If she wasn't on his boat, this wouldn't be an issue, would it? I wouldn't be surprised if the attorney made some calls to let them know. Now I know what we're dealing with. I feel bad for the kids and Maralise, though. Kat wanted to be famous, and now she is. We both regret this, but yes, she did. And just so you know, the paparazzi are still around the yacht. They'll keep an eye on things from here on out. I'm curious how Lorenzo's fiancée will react, too. Hank said, Thanks for everything, both of you. Why don't you two stay there a few days on my dime and then come back home? Or better yet, come here. Sounds good. Thanks, Hank. Call us if you need anything. Will do. Hank took a moment to look at some of the pictures that were online. He shook his head, realizing that there was no doubt about who it was, and the images revealed quite a lot. He thought about how long it would take Kat to come back home. He laughed bitterly, realizing that he didn't really care anymore and truly didn't recognize her anymore. She had changed so much. Before calling the kids, he decided to send her one last message. Say hi to your mom for me. Oh wait, when did she change so much? Just sign the papers, Kat. Don't call or text. I'm blocking your number right now. And he went ahead and blocked her. He called Ava and Eric to tell them what had happened, from Lorenzo showing up to the photos being released. They were stunned. Eric thought he wouldn't have a hard time at college since most people didn't know who his mother was. Ava was considering taking a couple of days off work since everyone there knew about her mother. She was anxious about facing her co-workers. He felt terrible for Morales. She didn't deserve this. He forwarded Kat's message about visiting Morales to her and then called her about 5 minutes later. Morales answered, Hey, Hank, I saw your text. She hasn't been here yet, so I'm guessing this call is about that. Yes, Morales, this isn't a friendly call. I just sent you a link. Please open it. Oh? He waited while she looked at it. Then he heard her gasp, Oh, no. He had sent her a link to a news website with a photo of Catalina looking surprised next to Lorenzo. Exactly. She texted me about finishing things in Spain and then visiting you. Then I found out she was with her boyfriend. I'm sorry this will cause you trouble, but I thought you should hear it from me rather than someone else. I appreciate that, I really do. I'm sorry I didn't guide her better. Are you going to be all right? Yeah, I'm okay. You did a good job. I think it's her new friends in New York who have influenced her. She distanced herself from family and let others confuse her. It's not our fault. It's on her. Have you talked to Eva and Eric? Just a few minutes ago. Eva's worried about showing up at work. She was planning to come here for Labor Day anyway. I think I can get her to come a few days earlier. I hope you can. I'll be there as soon as I can get a ticket, if that's all right with you. You're always welcome. Come as soon as you can and stay as long as you want. Thank you, my son. I'll let you know when I have my ticket. I love you. Love you too, Mom. Having handled what he needed to that morning, he got ready and left for work. Feeling relieved after the weekend's discussions, he was actually able to focus and get a lot done. When he arrived at the food bank in the afternoon, he brought Morgan a big bunch of flowers and another for Julia as a thank you for their help over the weekend. He quietly told Morgan what had happened that morning, and she sympathized with him, offering her help. He worked until the food bank closed at 7 p.m., which was unusual for him. He saw many familiar faces collecting bags of food and felt grateful for his own situation, realizing it could be much worse. He thought about how Kat's choices had affected him and others and wanted to find a way to support his family and friends. He wondered if he could help both them and the food bank at the same time. He spent the night contemplating that. On Tuesday, he called Scott and Tina and asked them to skip Pittsburgh and fly straight to Asheville. He had something he thought they would want to know. It was a tough week for Eva. She called him from her car, nearly in tears, on Wednesday morning. She had taken Monday and Tuesday off. When she went into the office on Wednesday, she found a color photo of her mom on her desk. Someone had printed it from a website and added a comment at the bottom, "Nice rack, like mother like daughter?" After she shared the incident with him, he said, "Here's what I think you should do. Take that picture back inside, go to the HR manager, and put it on her desk. Tell her that you want the person who did this to be found and disciplined. Then, inform her that you're thinking about filing a complaint with the EEOC. This will show them you've talked to someone who knows what they're doing, maybe even a lawyer. Finally, let her know you won't come back to work until the issue is resolved. After that, grab a few things and come here. You might want to fly, but I think it would be better to drive because I hope you'll stay for a while." "Okay, Daddy. I'll leave in the morning and be there by tomorrow afternoon." "Why not have Eric come with you in your car and I'll fly him back?" "Sounds good." It was after midnight when Eva and Eric got there. The next morning, when Eva entered the kitchen, she shouted, "Nana!" and rushed to hug her grandmother, whom she hadn't seen in almost a year. Marilis had arrived the day before, and Hank hadn't told the kids he was bringing her, hoping to surprise them. Tina and Scott arrived late Friday, so Hank had a lively house full of guests for Labor Day weekend. On Saturday, he shared his plans for getting Scott and Tina back to work and discussed how Eva could help. They would also need support from Julia, who was interested and willing to assist. Marilis, Morgan, and the girls were all on board too. Tina and Scott felt cautiously hopeful as they worked on ideas and plans throughout the weekend. Hank and Julia knew they needed to talk to the owners of Julia's restaurant soon. On Monday, Labor Day, just before lunchtime, the adults were brainstorming more ideas in the spacious kitchen and dining area while Marilis entertained the girls. Suddenly, they heard the front door open, and Kat walked in. Everyone was surprised. No one, not even Marilis, stood up to greet her. The silence was intense. Amber and Bella just stood and stared at Kat, unsure of the situation. Hank asked, "What are you doing here?" Kat replied, "It's Labor Day and I wanted to spend time with my family who all gathered here without telling me." "Oh, so you have a family now?" Before Kat could answer, Julia called the girls to come outside. Hank asked, "Where are you going?" Julia said, "It seems like you need to discuss something important with your family." "Exactly. So where are you going?" Morgan and Julia both nodded at this, but Julia said, "The girls aren't quite old enough for what needs to be discussed, but thanks for including us all the same." Hank nodded, and Julia led the girls outside. Morgan and Bill stayed behind. Kat placed her hands on her hips dramatically. "What was that about? Have you already replaced me?" "I could ask you the same question." "I didn't do anything wrong." Her tone was unapologetic. "Once again, you don't see how your actions impact others. Even if you didn't do anything, nobody believes that. You can't actually think that." The others watched them, exchanging glances like spectators at a match. Hank asked, "Mom, what's your opinion? Did Kat betray her boyfriend?" "Hank, please don't put me in that position." Kat's eyes widened at her mother's reply. "Okay, then how about this? Did your friends think she didn't betray her boyfriend before her flight here?" Marilis shook her head. Indicating no, Hank announced, "All right, everyone, by a show of hands, who thinks Kat did not betray her boyfriend?" No one raised their hand. Kat felt hurt that her kids stayed silent. She huffed, "He's not my boyfriend, but he's going to be my business partner. We're planning to work on some villas together. I spent the week with him to finalize our plans." "And you did this planning how?" "Hank," Marilis interjected. Hank rolled his eyes and looked at Marilis. "Fine, but you need to explain why you're here, Kat." "Because my family is here, and I told you I wanted to work on our relationship when I returned." "Then why lie to me about visiting your mom in one message while saying you wanted to work on our relationship in another? If one isn't true, I have to doubt the other." "I knew you'd be upset about my being on his yacht. Nothing happened. We were just deciding on villa renovations. I'm sure that's all you were doing. Those pictures made it look very different." "I'm sorry about what got shared online, but if you hadn't served me papers there, the photographers wouldn't have caught it. Besides, being on the beach like that isn't unusual." "True, but after that, who did you see that night?" She retorted, "I didn't see anyone." Hank shook his head. "If family and our marriage mean so much, why did it take you so long to get here?" "I was busy helping our new partner manage some issues. Then I had to travel to New York for meetings and then on to Pittsburgh to talk with sponsors." She didn't mention that one of the executives she spoke with directly asked if the yacht photos were staged. Because of the connections and the executive involved, she didn't deny it, and the executive seemed unfazed. Hank scoffed, "Let me guess. You had to fix things with your long-term sponsors in Pittsburgh because they might not like how you were working with your new business partner while your husband was still in the States." He was right on target. Catalina didn't know how to respond, so she decided to defend herself. "I can't believe all of you, my family, are ready to abandon me so quickly. Don't I deserve a little trust?" Scott replied, "Don't go there, Kat. Your behavior recently has changed how we see you." "Thanks, Scott. Because of that, you two are fired. Besides, I was just acting. You know it wasn't real." Tina added, "Kat, we don't care what you do as long as we get paid. We were going to quit before you hired a new crew from New York." Once again, Kat was surprised that everyone in the room seemed to know more about her than she expected. Marlise spoke up. "Then, daughter, you are quite an actress. While filming, I thought your feelings for him were more than just business. I'm sure your audience, who knows you are still married, will think the same." This caught her off guard. "Why are all of you against me?" Eva replied, "We aren't against you, Mom, but we can't understand why you would just reappear after years of being distant. After what you did this week, do you expect us to welcome someone we don't know?" "What's your point?" Eva said. "It's been all about you for years. You've been away for almost everything since my senior year. Nana helped me pick out my prom dress because you didn't have time. There are many times I've needed you, and you weren't there." Kat was at a loss for words, remembering those moments. "Then this week, someone at work put a picture of you on my desk. Now everyone thinks less of me because of your actions. They'll look at me differently and wonder about you. You may have advanced your career, but it's hurt mine." Tears began to form in Eva's eyes as she spoke. This wasn't how Kat had imagined the day going. She knew she needed to make things right with Hank, but she hadn't considered how to handle the others. She tried to shift her approach. "But sweetie, I'm doing this for all of us. With the money I make, we can achieve so much together. Don't worry about your career. You can join me." The look on Eva's face told Kat that wasn't going to happen. Eva continued, "Mother! The newspaper in the UK that posted your pictures contacted me to see if I would do a mother-daughter spread with them. Great! Just what I need." Kat felt humiliated. Hank wasn't sure if that was true, but didn't want to ask at that moment. Eric spoke up. "Gee, Mom, if you wanted to be famous, why didn't you just make a video? You could have been right at the top like others." This hit hard. Kat couldn't believe her children were turning against her. She couldn't hold back her tears any longer. Seeing that the conversation was going downhill, Marilis intervened. "Catalina, come with me for a moment. Please." Marilis walked by Hank and squeezed his arm. Then she gently turned Kat around and led her outside for a moment. 5 minutes later she returned, tears streaming down her face. She walked up to Hank, arms open, needing comfort. He asked, Are you okay, Mom? I will be. I just told my daughter we both needed space to avoid saying things we can't take back. I'm worried we may have already crossed that line. I offered to spend time with her tomorrow, but I'm staying tonight since Eric is leaving in the morning and I might not see him for a while. I don't know if Ava even left yet. She might still be sitting there upset. I believe she's starting to realize what her actions have caused. She continued, "Please, Hank, don't be harsh with her. Protect the kids and yourself, but be kind to her. I know she doesn't deserve any kindness from us, but I'm asking you, as a favor to me, to show her some compassion." He hugged her back. "Sure, Mom. I promise I'll try." Morgan went out to tell Julia they could come back inside. When the girls entered, they hugged Hank. Julia saw that he needed cheering up. Hank whispered to the girls, and soon they were hugging Marilis too. Julia's look told Hank that it was a good idea. It was a tough night for everyone. Being the Labor Day weekend, it took a bit, but Kat eventually found a decent hotel room about 20 minutes away. She cried until she got to her hotel room. Then she opened her laptop and got to work. If her family didn't want her anymore, she would prove them wrong. She would still be successful. The next morning, Hank, Eva, and Morellis drove Eric to the airport. Morellis was already missing her grandson, whom she hadn't seen for almost a year before this trip. Before he said goodbye, he said to her, "Nana, just stay here with us. When I graduate next year, I'll move close to you, and then you can be with us all the time. But Barcelona's my home. I've lived there for most of my life. I know it's hard to think about, but we would love for you to consider it." "I will think about it. For my grandbabies." They hugged, and Eric went through security. Hank and Ava then drove Marilis to Kat's hotel. A minute after dropping her off, Eva's phone rang. It turned out Kat had already checked out. A few hours later, Morellis would find out that Kat took an earlier flight back to New York. Chapter 5. Things moved quickly after that. Hank, Morgan, and Julia talked to the owners of her restaurant about hosting a benefit on one of their quieter nights just before Thanksgiving to help the local food bank. Eva, Tina, and Scott's new marketing firm would help promote the event. Although the restaurant was popular, the promotion would help it reach even more people. Scott offered for his company to cover the cost of the food, which meant all the money raised would go to the food bank. The owners agreed, and preparations began. Hank was trying to tackle several goals at once. He wanted input from everyone who gathered at his house on Labor Day. He sought to personally support some projects for Scott and Tina in Asheville. Along with the event at the restaurant, he planned for Scott and Tina to interview people involved with the food bank, including Morgan and some families needing help. They would create several commercials as well. Hank also offered to pay for college classes for the families featured in the food bank videos if they wanted. Before having Kat served with divorce papers, Hank had his lawyer adjust the division of assets in the updated agreement to benefit him a bit more. Even with this change, the distribution still favored Kat. When problems at Eva's work came up, he saw her presence as an unexpected gift. While he hated that she was struggling, having her nearby strengthened his original idea. He wanted Eva to stay in Asheville with him. He hoped she would be interested in starting a marketing company that included her, Scott, and Tina. He offered to fund the business, including their first year of salaries, so they could do what they loved. Scott and Tina could still create professional video content, but could also work with Eva to use her skills to attract clients. Everyone was excited to give it a try, even though they felt nervous, except for Tina. She saw this as a chance for a family of her own, with less travel compared to when they were following Kat. Julia was the most hesitant about Hank's proposals because he needed her expertise. He wanted her to create 2 cookbooks, which she had never done. However, Hank had experience with several cookbooks. Scott and Tina could assist her. With their support, she agreed to give it a try. She said, "Hank, you know the last thing this world needs is another cookbook, right?" He didn't argue that it was needed, but rather convinced her it would be for a good cause, and they had the right team in place to make it work. The first cookbook would raise money for the food bank. Inspired by a famous ad, Hank wanted it to be called Got Gravy. The cover would show a close-up of a person's face, and instead of a milk mustache, they would have a gravy mustache. It was a clear play on the famous ad, but it would help a good cause. The cookbook wouldn't be just for gravy recipes, it would feature a variety of gravies and sauces. The marketing of this cookbook was to be the first project for the marketing company. Once the recipes were finalized, Tina and Scott planned everything, filming Julia's perfectly plated dishes, taking plenty of pictures, and adding helpful videos to the food bank's website. By the time of the food bank event at the restaurant, they would start promoting the book with an expected launch date. The second cookbook Hank requested was a Mediterranean cookbook that would showcase recipes Julia had created at the restaurant. Hank also planned for the marketing company to promote this book. Instead of linking videos to the food bank website, Hank organized to create a separate website for Julia. While there were many similar sites, Julia would have access to professional resources, and Hank had his reasons for encouraging her to do this. A couple of weeks before Thanksgiving, the fundraiser took place at the restaurant. Hank had Scott film Julia while she cooked, capturing her talking about how she helped the executive chef create new menu items, explore new suppliers, and ensure consistent quality in their dishes. The owners watched most of what happened at the event, and were happy to hear what Julia had to say. They were not surprised because they had known her for years and recognized her as a skilled professional. 2 local TV stations came to film parts of the benefit, including interviews with Morgan, the restaurant owners, and Julia, which would be aired that night and the next day. The evening was a success. Once the event ended and the money was raised, the girls were excited to see their mother on camera. They had helped with some of her cooking videos, which turned out quite cute. Morellis was also present and appeared in several of the videos. During this time, the girls were getting closer to Hank, who was working at the local factory with occasional visits back to Pittsburgh. With summer over, he had less free time at the food bank and was now working long days at the factory, but he still tried to help with the cookbooks in the evenings. Morgan and Bill spent many evenings with the girls, and they all got along well with Marlies, who enjoyed being around them. She was hopeful about having 2 new grandchildren soon, but that was still a bit away, even with Kat signing the divorce papers recently. On Sunday night after Thanksgiving, which was one of Julia's few nights off, she and Hank were sitting on his outdoor couch, enjoying the view of his backyard, and sipping some wine after finishing the gravy cookbook. Julia turned to Hank and asked, "Can I ask you something serious?" He smiled and replied, "Of course." She liked that answer and smiled back, although she wondered if her nerves would hold. She asked, "I appreciate everything you are doing for the food bank and everyone involved. But why are you supporting me like this? I understand the first cookbook, but the videos from the event and the second cookbook feel different. Are you trying to make me into someone else? I have no interest in going down that road, and I hope you know that. So what's your goal?" Hank had hoped to wait a bit longer before having this talk, but there was no way to avoid it now. "You trust me with your daughters, right?" "Of course I do." "You believe I want what's best for them?" "I do. And aside from the summer camps, you've been great about getting my opinions on those." "Julia, I want to support you in whatever you choose, and I want Amber and Bella to be happy. The only thing that could make them happier is spending more time with you. Everything we've done recently is to provide you with more choices." She looked confused. "More choices? I don't follow. Even if you stopped everything now, we could still publish the gravy cookbook and it would do well. But thanks to your work with the food bank, along with Scott's video and the local TV coverage, you are becoming more recognized in the community. Instead of just being known as the #2 chef at a good restaurant, people will know who you are. This visibility gives you options. If you're happy cooking at Malta, you can stay there. I think the owners appreciate the extra attention you've brought them. But with your skills and now more exposure, many other businesses in Western North Carolina might want someone like you to join them. You could work as a food buyer for a restaurant group or help publicize a well-regarded restaurant. Big places like Biltmore need food operation directors. You could even teach at the community college, and I'm sure there are many other roles that could benefit from your talents. Someday, if you choose, you could have a regular job while the girls are in school, giving you more time to spend with the 2 young ones who think you're amazing. I agree with them. You truly are." "So, all this is for them?" she asked. "Yes." "This isn't about you wanting me to be famous?" "Not at all. It's just for the girls and for you." She took a moment to let that sink in. Hank was already quite busy. After summer, he had used much of his vacation and was working full days while still helping at the food bank, with cookbook projects, and with marketing efforts. Yet in all his busyness, he was thinking about her daughters, and by extension, about her. She remembered when they last talked about him being unmarried. Feeling relaxed, she leaned into him and joked, "You're not just trying to win me over through the girls, are you?" He thought that might be fun, but knew better than to say something thoughtless. "Nope. As tempting as that sounds, they're not pawns in this." "Good answer," she said, then asked, "What if I was interested in you trying to win me over in another way?" "Then I would be very interested." Julia stood in front of Hank and raised her glass of wine. She said, "Hold this," and handed him her glass. Hank felt a bit puzzled, now holding two nearly empty glasses. Julia came closer and sat in his lap. With her hands free, she leaned in and shared a gentle moment of closeness. Hank didn't pull away. With her sitting there and his hands full, all he could do was enjoy the moment. After a heartbeat, she pulled back slightly and said, "You have no idea how long I've wanted to do that." "Oh, really?" he replied. "Yes. You know my daughters really like you, right?" "I hope so, because I love them too." "Ever since Bella held your hand on our first hike, I was curious. I struggled with liking a married man. But when they snuggled with you during that Pixar movie, I felt a little jealous. I think it was then I started to consider what Aunt Morgan has been telling me all summer." This time, Hank leaned in to share another gentle moment. He could tell she was happy, and he felt a warmth between them. She broke the moment and said, "You have a spare bedroom. Why don't the girls and I stay over tonight?" "I like the way you think. Are you going to tell them where you'll be sleeping?" "Nope. We'll just say you're on the couch, at least for now." "Are you okay with our friends knowing? I mean, they're not little kids anymore." "Knowing? Our friends are the ones encouraging me. Even Ava." He smiled at her answer. "We are a good family." "Yes, a great one," she said, sharing another sweet moment with him. When they went back inside, the girls were busy with homework, and everyone else seemed occupied too. The TV wasn't even on. When Julia told the girls about the sleepover, they looked excited. After Julia's call to Morgan, Bill gave her a high five. Their guests pretended nothing unusual was happening, but they were happy to see Hank and Julia moving closer. Once Julia had the girls settled in bed, they asked if Hank could come in and say goodnight. Julia felt a bit nervous about everything. She was thinking about building a life with Hank. Watching her daughters smile as he leaned in to wish them good night made her heart swell. Later, when they thought it was a good time to go to his bedroom, Julia said, "You should lock the door, and I'll set the alarm." They spent a wonderful night together, hardly sleeping but enjoying each other's company. At 5:30 a.m. the alarm rang, and Hank went to sleep on the couch, where he found Eva waiting. "What are you doing here?" he asked. "I wanted to make sure someone was here in case the girls woke up early." He smiled at her. "You're a good girl." "Are you okay with you and Julia being together?" she asked. "Yes, I am, but it's complicated. Even if I could change things with your mom, I don't know if I would. I like how happy Amber and Bella are now, and I don't want to spoil that," he replied. "Thanks, Dad. That makes me feel better." Since they were up, they went to the kitchen to start breakfast for the girls before school. The smells from the kitchen began waking everyone up. Marilis was the first to arrive, followed by Julia, who greeted Hank warmly. Amber noticed and rushed over to give Hank a big hug and a quick peck on the cheek, then did the same for her mom. Julia saw Amber's happy face and felt reassured. Marilis felt the same way. After Julia and the girls left, Marilis said to Hank, "I'm going back to Spain. I don't know how long I'll be there, but I will come back. I need to check on my daughter. I don't approve of everything she's done recently, but she is still my daughter. I hope you understand." "Mom, you need to do what's right for you. You always have a place here. Just promise that you won't be gone too long. We will all miss you," he replied. "And I'll miss you all." When Kat was little, I felt like I had one chick to care for. Now, I still feel like a mother hen, but my family has grown. I love my first chick, but I love all my new ones just as much. You don't have grandchildren yet, so you might not fully get it, but I need to do this. I think I understand a bit. Just so you know, Mom, the guest suite on the first floor, It's yours. This house is now yours. Don't worry about finding another place. We need you back here. I know, and thank you. I want to be here too. When Samuel was alive, the distance didn't matter as much. I missed you all, but I had him. I wish I had moved closer years ago, but with Catalina so busy, I didn't want to disrupt anything. I realize now that was a mistake. I can't miss watching my grandkids grow up. I'll be back soon, either before or right after Christmas. Morelis returned to Spain and tried to catch up with Kat, who was busy working on a new show with Lorenzo. It was going well, but Kat didn't have much time for her mother. Morelis wasn't fond of Lorenzo, but she was polite because she understood her daughter needed this show to succeed. Though Kat's previous show in Barcelona had huge success, her old sponsors were reluctant to continue their support. Because of this, she was putting all her hope into her new project. When Kat heard her mother planned to sell her apartment, she was surprised. Morelis could get a good amount for it, enough to rent a nice place in her hometown whenever she wanted. She also wanted to set aside money for her final resting place in Spain, near Samuel, but intended to live in the United States with her family. It would take time for the immigration paperwork, but she was sure it would work out in time. Kat asked, "Why didn't you move here sooner while I was in Pittsburgh?" "Your father passed away only 5 years ago. It took time for me to process that. Besides, in those years, I wouldn't have seen much of you anyway, would I?" This bothered Kat, not because it wasn't true, but because it hurt. Kat continued, "So now I'm here and you're moving there. If you stayed, we could spend time together." "Sweetheart, I love you, I do. But I could stay here waiting to see you for just a little while each week while you are busy, or I could live there and see my family every day. I haven't had a meal alone in months. I won't go back to being alone when I can be with everyone." "But I'm your family. You are my family too, but you're busy right now. Let me know when you have some free time, and I'll come visit you. But that might not happen for 7 or 8 months. Exactly why I'm going back to Asheville until you have more time." Morelis knew 7 or 8 months could easily turn into longer. She asked Kat, "Are you taking time off for Christmas?" "Lorenzo and I are making a Christmas show and we have an event for a children's hospital on Christmas Eve." Morelis nodded. She could stay and spend Christmas with a busy Catalina, or she could enjoy a week with her family in Asheville who would be home for Christmas. It was an easy choice. When Morelis returned, she brought boxes of her favorite items. When she showed them to Hank, he immediately knew what to do. She had some ornaments, and Hank brought them out for Amber and Bella to help Morelis decorate the tree. Morelis was joyful when they finished. On Christmas Day, Julia and the girls spent the morning at Morgan and Bill's, then all of them went to Hank's for a big lunch and to open presents. Before they returned to Morgan's, Hank said to Julia, "I hope next year you and the girls wake up here." "I would like that." For the girls, it was starting to feel like home, too. While Kat had distanced herself from her family, she also lost her local sponsors in Pittsburgh. It seemed pointless to go back to trying to rebuild those relationships, so she chose to focus on the opportunities with Lorenzo and his projects. They gathered a crew in Spain and began filming with a Spanish audience in mind. Lorenzo was already a star in Spain from his soccer career, and he became a hit alongside Catalina, who was returning to her roots. Their on-screen chemistry was strong, and their project quickly expanded into a small production company creating content for NBC Universal in Spain, leading to more opportunities than they had imagined. They even invited Kat to participate in a show where she could cook with top chefs in Spain's best restaurants. Although working with Lorenzo was enjoyable and profitable, cooking with these talented chefs was her favorite part. Not only did Kat get her own show, but she ended up with several opportunities, which allowed her to earn as much as she would have with a top show in the U.S. Even though she and Lorenzo had a great connection, they weren't meant to be a couple. He wanted a family, but at nearly 50, Kat felt she couldn't give him one. His ex-fiancée's actions were troubling and had left a mark on his life, but Lorenzo wasn't getting any younger. So he found and married a wonderful woman who could help him start a family. This changed the dynamics of the shows with Kat, as the chemistry they once shared began to fade. His new wife established strict guidelines for him, leading the show to conclude sooner than expected. Kat needed to think of new directions. Instead of filming easy shows along the Spanish coast, she began to create cooking and travel programs in new locations, gaining recognition for her efforts. Although the pay was still good, the constant traveling was exhausting. Eventually, she settled in Miami, where she became quite popular. Kat wanted to be recognized for her skills rather than solely her appearance. At her age, her portrayal shifted to that of a mature woman. While it was easier to build her career on her looks in the past, being surrounded by younger talent in Miami posed its own challenges. Having always had a curvy figure, she found it difficult to stand out among the youthful and fit crowd in Miami. Despite no valid reason for concern, she often worried about her appearance and how others might perceive her. After several years in Miami, Kat had ample financial resources and admirers, yet she often felt a sense of loneliness, even during rare moments of companionship. Her friends, Ava and Eric, made a point to visit her annually, and Morellis tried to visit a few times, though Kat's busy schedule made those visits infrequent. Moving to Miami allowed Kat time to think about her life. During one visit from Morellis, they decided to rewatch episodes of the show that showcased some challenging moments with Hank. The combination of missing Hank, yearning for family, and viewing those episodes with new perspective moved Kat deeply, leading her to tears. Motivated to reach out, Kat watched a few more episodes before attempting to text Hank to express her feelings. Realizing her number was still blocked, she used Morellis's phone to contact him. She sent Hank a message saying, "You were right. They portrayed you unfairly. I'm genuinely sorry for not defending you. Please forgive me." Minutes later, her phone buzzed with his reply. "Apology accepted. I hope you're well," she said to Morellis. "Please give him a hug for me and tell him I care." "I will." Chapter 6. During Ava's most recent visit around Christmas, she brought her fiancé, Todd, to meet Kat. Kat liked him right away. Eva and Todd planned to marry in early June, nearly 6 months away. That timeline made it challenging for Kat to assist with the wedding preparations. Although Ava had extended an invitation for her to help, they both understood it might not be feasible. Kat thanked her but said she couldn't help much, promising to be in Asheville the week of the wedding. As the wedding date approached, Kat was in South America filming various food and travel shows, similar to a popular series but aimed at Spanish-speaking viewers. Unfortunately, she was sent to small towns instead of interesting cities to find hidden gems. The travel was more demanding. One bright spot was her trip to Mendoza, Argentina, where she filmed a show at a winery restaurant. She stayed at a nice ranch and met Matias, the owner, who was older and very attractive, with the charm of a successful rancher. They spent evenings sharing stories about their work and travels. When not filming, she enjoyed his company, feeling a genuine connection for the first time since Hank. When it was time for her next stop in Santiago, Chile, Matias flew her there on his private plane over the stunning Andes Mountains. He invited her to return and stay, which made her consider it. 2 weeks before the wedding, she was in the Colombian jungle near the Amazon. She was supposed to film an indigenous tribe preparing meals using simple tools. The show felt more like a documentary. While joking about the wildlife, she noticed some guides were carrying weapons for safety. The first couple of filming days went well, but then heavy rain began, and the local guide who was helping them disappeared. With the ongoing rain, filming came to a halt. She was set to leave the Saturday before the wedding, but the crew convinced her to stay a little longer to complete the filming. She reluctantly agreed. The old hotel where she stayed lacked internet, but a nearby cafe had slow service. There was no cell service on the edge of the Amazon. She used the cafe to check her email and send messages. While there, she learned from the news that heavy rains were starting to wash out roads. She worried that if that happened, she wouldn't make it to the wedding. Even though it was late in the afternoon, she quickly found their driver and insisted he take her back to Bogotá. She was determined to leave no matter what. When their Colombian host tried to stop her, she told him to take action if he wanted. Soon, other members of the film crew joined her in leaving. The 11-hour ride through the pouring rain and muddy roads to Bogotá felt endless. It was a difficult journey. Only sheer exhaustion allowed her to sleep for a short time between a small village and arriving at their hotel in Bogotá early the next morning. "Never again," she promised herself. "I was much happier with my audience in Pittsburgh." Then she remembered once more that she couldn't go back there. After a quick shower and a couple of hours of sleep, she left the hotel to head to the Bogotá airport. There, her situation worsened because the whole airport was on strike. She was supposed to arrive in Asheville that afternoon, but now she had no idea when she would be able to leave Bogotá. Everyone she called, from the airline staff to her manager at NBC Universal, who couldn't believe she left a live shoot, seemed unable to help. Worried about what being late would do to her relationship with Eva, she texted the one person she knew she could rely on. "Please, I need your help. It's urgent." Hank was surprised when he received the message. He knew Kat was supposed to arrive today. The girls had prepared a lot for her visit that everyone hoped she would enjoy. "Hey, Kat, what's going on?" "Oh, thank you for calling. I know you might not want to help me." He cut in. "Just tell me what you need, Kat." Feeling a bit put off by his tone, she pressed on. "I need help getting out of Bogotá. Can your travel person connect me with whoever organizes the private jet charters for your company? I need to go from a smaller airport because of the strike." "Sure. Give me a few minutes." She dreaded what the answer would be. Medellin and Cali were far away by car, even on a good day. She really needed a break. She felt frustrated for accepting this last job and for her producer at NBC Universal for placing her in such a tough situation right before her daughter's wedding. It reminded her that to them, she was just a resource, not a person. After reflecting for a moment, she felt even worse for taking the job so close to the wedding. Why had she expected her employers to value her time when she hadn't done so herself? It was a wake-up call about her own priorities. She wouldn't make that mistake again. 15 minutes later, her phone rang. It was Hank. "Take a cab to Guaymallén Airport, just north of town. A plane will be there in a couple of hours to take you to Miami. If you'd like, I can help you arrange another flight from Miami to Asheville, or you can find a ticket on your own. The airport is small, so don't be surprised when they drop you off. The jet service will call your cell in about an hour to meet you and take you to the lounge to wait for your flight." "Thank you, Hank. I promise to pay you back once I reach Asheville." "I know. No rush. Be safe and have a good flight. Everyone is excited to see you." "Me too." Except for a few texts a couple of years ago, she hadn't spoken to Hank in 4 years. The love of her life, and yet silence for all that time, and he was quick to help her now. She didn't want to dwell on her past mistakes that week, but during those lonely nights over the years, she often regretted her choices. To gain everything she ever wanted, she felt like she lost everyone she cared about or who cared about her. It was a painful trade-off. How had she lost sight of what really mattered? When did that happen? Why hadn't she fought to keep those relationships instead of looking in the mirror? Once in the air, the flight to Miami was smooth, and she felt grateful considering where she had been just a day before. She caught the first direct flight the next morning to Asheville, arriving just before lunch. She loved Asheville and had missed it. But like her ex-husband, she also had left it behind 4 years ago. When she sent Eva her new flight details, Eva texted back that she would meet her at baggage claim. At the Asheville airport, after clearing security, when Kat turned the corner toward the baggage carousel, she heard, "Aunt Kat! Aunt Kat!" Turning around, she saw 2 young teens approaching her with open arms for a hug. Morales was right behind them, smiling. Kat was surprised to see them coming. Morales had told her that she had grown close to the girls. It seemed they were genuinely happy to see her. After hugging all 3 of them, Amber said, "Nana has been teaching us Spanish." Bella added, "We've been watching your travel shows to help." Marilis proudly said, "These 2 are probably your biggest fans, after me, of course. Thanks, Mama, and thanks to both of you young ladies." She didn't know Amber from Bella yet. She asked, "Where's Eva?" "Getting your bags. Let's go." Tears of joy filled the room as Eva hugged her mother again. "I've missed you, Mom." "Me too, sweetie. I've missed you so much." Once they packed Kat's bags into the SUV, they started catching up. After a brief pause in the chatter, Bella asked, "Aunt Kat, are you going to come with us to Spain next summer?" "You're going to Spain?" "Yep. Daddy and Nana said I can go after I turn 13. Nana will give us a tour. Aunt Morgan and Uncle Bill are coming too, so can you join us?" Hearing Bella call Hank Daddy surprised Kat for a moment. She knew he had married Julia and adopted the girls, but it was still a bit shocking to hear that word from a child. She replied, "Oh, I'd love to, sweetie, but your mom or dad would have to invite me. They might feel a little uneasy if I came along." Marlis and Eva both laughed lightly. Eva said, "Todd and I would love to go, but we'll see what we can figure out." They drove to a place in Malta for lunch. Kat asked, "Isn't this where Julia works?" Marlis said, "Yep, she's still here." The girls smiled happily. Once they entered, they were led to a big, round table where Morgan was waiting. A few minutes later, Julia and a well-dressed older woman came over. Julia said, "Hi, Kat. It's so nice to see you again." "Thanks, Julia. I'm just glad it's not under the same circumstances as before." Julia smiled in understanding. Kat asked, "Are you working today?" "Oh, I'm working, but I'm not in the kitchen anymore. Mrs. Rousseau and her husband now own 4 restaurants, and I manage the supplies for all of them. I took on this role over 2 years ago. It lets me spend more time with my family since my hours are better. I still help out in the kitchen sometimes, but not often. Mrs. Rousseau wanted to ask you something." Renee Rousseau said, "Hi, Kat. It's great to meet you. This fall marks the 5th year that one of our restaurants holds a fundraiser for the local food bank that Morgan runs. It would mean so much to us if you could be our guest chef for the evening. It's for a good cause, and you would help raise a lot of support for charity." "You want me? I'm not well known here, especially not in Asheville. I appreciate it, but are you sure I'd be a fit?" "We believe so. I've watched some of your shows as a guest chef at those top restaurants, and of course your previous success on PBS. We would be thrilled to have you. We do this in October when more people are in town. You don't have to decide today, but I hope you'll think about it." Kat was surprised. "Sure, I'll let you know soon. Thank you." "And thank you." Julia sat down with them. Eva asked, "Mama, how long are you staying in Asheville?" "About a week, I think," Marlis said. "I was hoping you could stay a bit longer. While I'm really touched by the warm welcome, I don't want to overstay my welcome." Julia said, "Not at all. Stay as long as you want." That made Kat feel very welcomed, almost like she was coming home. They enjoyed a lovely lunch, and then Julia went back to work while Morgan headed to the food bank. Back in the SUV, Eva said, "I want you to see my new office." They drove a little ways from downtown to an older neighborhood with a large Victorian house and a significant shed in the back. Inside, Scott and Tina greeted her with a baby on Tina's hip. Kat's eyes widened at the sight of the little boy. She said, "Oh, Tina, Scott, I didn't know you had a baby. I'm so happy for you both." Tina replied, "Thanks, Kat. Since our business picked up, I could cut back and enjoy being a mom. I love it. Nana helps look after Samuel sometimes, so I can work a bit more, but it's been really good." "Samuel? Did Mama tell you that was my father's name?" Scott replied, "Yes, we know. Your mom has helped us a lot, so Tina and I chose the name Samuel for her. If it had been a girl, we would have named her Marilise." "Oh, I don't know how to respond other than to thank you. I'm sure Papa would have been very touched, and Mama as well." Marilise wrapped her arm around Kat. "I'm extremely happy. It feels like gaining another grandchild. Sam makes number 5. When Morellis picked up Sam, he squealed with joy. He always loved it when Nana came to visit. Eva, Tina, and Scott showed Kat around. The large shed in the back was Scott's studio for filming small scenes used in special advertisements. He mostly shot on location or in a professional studio in town. The business office was in the front room of the Victorian house, where Eva usually worked. Scott was slowly restoring the historic home, taking his time. He guessed he had several more years of work ahead, maybe sooner if Hank continued to help out. Scott said, "Kat, it was your daughter who really boosted our business. We pretty much worked for Hank at first until the Got Gravy cookbook started selling. Eva had the great idea of sending some books to a certain comedian near Atlanta, asking if he could mention the book during his shows since it was for charity. He liked the cookbook so much, or at least the title, that he mentioned it at every show that season. Suddenly, people wanted to know more about you, Julia, the food bank, and the company behind the cookbook. Julia's Mediterranean cookbook did well too, and things have been steady since then, not skyrocketing, but good. Tina and I feel happy." Kat gave them a sad smile because she was missing out on this joy. These were her friends, whom she hadn't treated well in the past, but she was sincerely glad for them. "Scott, Tina, I just want to say I'm so sorry for how I acted." Scott raised his hand. "No, don't worry about it, Kat. We had a rough start, but we love it here. Working with Eva, seeing Nana nearly every day, and having barbecues on the weekends. And of course, there's Samuel. I know you've had a tough time, but I wouldn't change anything in our lives right now, he added with a smile, except maybe to give Samuel a little sister. Tina asked, "Do you want to hold him?" Kat, with tears in her eyes, nodded. When Tina handed the toddler to Kat, he smiled and gabbled joyfully. He reached for her earrings, making everyone laugh. They spent a nice afternoon on the back deck catching up and sharing funny stories from their earlier filming days. Marilis felt joyful. Her daughter was here with her friends. This was the happiest she had felt in years. Soon enough, it was time to go to Hank and Julia's house, which used to be Kat and Hank's vacation spot. Scott and his family would join for dinner. As they neared the house, Kat felt quieter and more nervous. This would be the first time she saw Hank since that Labor Day weekend almost 4 years ago. She thought, what will he say? How will he react? Will I be welcomed? Kat spotted a little red Mini Cooper parked in the driveway. Ava pointed out, "That's Nana's car." "Mama, you drive that?" "I wanted something small and fun. Driving in Barcelona was tricky, but here I enjoy it. Some mornings I go for a drive on the Blue Ridge Parkway. It's beautiful. That's how Eva met Todd. We stopped for pastries and coffee one weekend, and she practically jumped on him." "I did not. It was more like he noticed me first." Marilis smiled while the girls laughed. They liked Todd as well. Kat was slow to get out of the car, feeling hesitant as everyone walked inside. Marilis whispered to her, "It's going to be okay, Catalina. You'll see." Through the open door, she could smell something delicious cooking. Hank was hugging everyone as they arrived, and he still looked the same. With everyone there, Kat felt the urge to run away. She could see everyone stop and turn to watch her. Hank opened his arms to welcome her, and Kat almost stumbled into him. She went from calm to sobbing in a heartbeat. He simply held her until she calmed down. After a moment, he heard her mumbling into his shirt. What?" he asked. After a few seconds, she tried again. "I'm so sorry. I've missed you so much. I was so foolish. I'll regret this for the rest of my life, but please forgive me for being so self-centered." She wasn't sure where those words came from, but her loneliness and regret for leaving her family weighed heavily on her heart. "Shh. It's all right, Kat. Everything is okay. You are forgiven. I already told you that." "I know, but I needed to see you say it. I need to know it's real. I need to believe it." He squeezed her tight. "I mean it. You are loved and welcomed more than ever." That made her cry harder. This time, more arms wrapped around her. First Marilis, then Ava, followed by the girls. Hank said with a smile, "I told you we were looking forward to seeing you." "No, you said, everyone is looking forward to seeing you. I worried you didn't include yourself." "I meant myself, too. Let's get you freshened up. Dinner is in the oven." Eva took Kat to the bathroom while Hank went back to the kitchen with Marilis. The girls went to their rooms to change. In the kitchen, Hank said, "I can tell you're about to burst with happiness right now." "You're right. I'll be even happier when Eric and everyone else arrives. The only way this could get better is if Samuel were still here with us." Everyone arrived a few minutes later. When Kat came back in, she asked, "Hank, when did you learn to cook?" "I cook a little. I watched you for years, and then Julia taught me some things." "Why didn't you cook for me?" "Well, I'm making something special for you now, but back then, the audience wanted to watch you, not me." With a gentle smile, she replied, "We should have cooked together more." He nodded. In Spanish, Bella asked, "Aunt Kat, will you watch your Buenos Aires episode with us?" Marilis added, "That's their favorite because of the dance scene. They've been eager for you to come back to watch it with them." Kat laughed. "You can't film anything there without a dance scene. That was a lot of fun." She let them lead her to the family room. Over the next hour or two, everyone else started arriving. Morgan, Bill, and Todd were happy just to be around Kat and Eva. Then Scott, Tina, Sam, and Eric showed up. When Eric walked in, Kat had another moment of emotions. Even though she had seen him 6 months ago, he seemed different, bigger and more mature. It hit her that her little boy was growing up, and she felt she was missing it. When Julia arrived, she helped Hank finish dinner preparations. They served 2 big dishes of paella, one with seafood and one without, along with salad and other sides. Paella was one of Kat's favorite meals. When everyone was seated at the table, Hank stood up and gently tapped his glass to get attention. He said, "I'm really happy that my whole family is here tonight. Kat, we're especially glad you could join us. Now we're complete. To family. Everyone echoed, to family. Kat had some words she wanted to share, so she stood up. I want to thank all of you for today. Now I understand what the prodigal son must have felt. Thank you for welcoming me back and being so understanding about my absence for too long. This is the best day I've had in many years. I love all of you. Everyone enjoyed their meal, and Kat was happy to be part of many conversations throughout the night. After Hank and Julia cleaned up, Kat poured 2 glasses of a nice Oloroso sherry for Hank. When Hank stepped outside, he caught Kat's eye and held up the extra glass. She nodded, and a few minutes later, she joined him on the patio. "Thank you for the sherry," she said with a smile as she took a sip. "And thank you for helping me get out of Colombia. The weather and the strike caught me off guard. I was worried I would miss being here for you all, or worse, miss the wedding entirely because the roads were blocked. It was almost a disaster. I'm glad you made it out. We've all been looking forward to seeing you." "I see that, and it means everything to me. I missed all of you while I was away, and today made me realize how much I missed being part of your lives. Right now, the only friends I have are the faces from the production teams that change regularly. I feel very alone." Hank said, "I'm sorry to hear that. I know you love your work." "I did love it. I'm not so sure anymore. This last series has taken me to small towns and jungles in Latin America, and it's made me question what I'm really doing. I hear the episodes have done well, but I'm just not enjoying it. Mom and the girls have been watching all your episodes. We got a satellite dish just for that reason." She smiled and said, "I can't believe that. After everything, I'm surprised Mama keeps up with it, but I'm really shocked that Julia lets the girls watch. You are loved. Don't forget that." Kat paused for a moment, considering how to say what she needed. "Hank, I know it's all in the past now, but I promise you I did not sleep with Lorenzo before you sent me the divorce papers. I know it's done now, but you should know the truth." Hank took a moment to think. "I don't want to revisit the past, but I believe you. Still, Kat, I know you. That situation probably stirred up a lot for you. He was charming, and you two had a connection. Can you honestly say that if things were different, you wouldn't have made a mistake?" "Honestly? I can't say for sure. I'm not naive enough to go absolutely. But I can tell you this. I wanted you, not him. You know what I mean? When you're with someone, you feel no attraction to anyone else. That's how I felt then. I made mistakes, and it looked bad. I was trying to make things work without crossing a line. But I swear I didn't plan to cross that line." Hank replied, "That's where I wonder about your choices. The Kat I knew wouldn't have put herself in that kind of situation. You would have seen how it could look. Can you imagine if I had gone with you to that event and you were engaging with someone else instead of being with me?" She sighed. "I know, and you're right. I thought I needed to climb to the top in my career, and I was willing to sacrifice almost anything for it. I didn't realize then that I was giving up my family and a good life to chase it. Now, I have money and some fame, but no one to share it with. If I could go back to when we were in Pittsburgh, I would choose that life again in an instant." He asked, "So all that glitters isn't gold?" You know that answer. A while ago, I felt embarrassed watching those episodes that upset you. I'm truly sorry for that. When I tried to reach out to you to apologize, and my number was still blocked, I felt cut off from you. And I was the one who put myself in this position. If Mama hadn't let me use her phone to text you, I don't know how I would have managed the week. Maybe I would have ended up calling Eva or Eric a lot, or I would have flown over. I really appreciated your apology. It mattered to me that we could both understand what had happened. By then, I was married to Julia, and my life was getting better. Your apology meant a lot, so thank you. I've missed you too." She asked, "Did you know the girls invited me to join you all in Spain?" "Of course, we all hope you'll come. If you can't or don't want to, that's okay. We were planning to rent your place in Barcelona." He laughed a bit and added, "We've been staying at your old place in Pittsburgh every time we visit. How many homes do you have now?" She laughed lightly. 4. I have my current place in Miami where I hardly spend any time. Then there are the other 3, which I can't bring myself to sell. I can't let go of our old home in Pittsburgh, even though it's been years since I've been there. I loved the apartment in Barcelona that I fixed up with Scott and Tina. I wanted to keep it as a vacation spot for myself. I bought Mama's apartment too when she sold it. I was feeling down when she made that decision, so I didn't want to lose that part of my family. Losing you and what made our old house our home was difficult. I've held on to our old apartment because I've lost so many important people, so the memories tied to those places mean a lot. That's interesting. I'm not sure Mom knows you've kept her house. I never mentioned it. When I'm in Barcelona, I usually stay there, allowing the nicer apartment to be rented out. Kat asked, "How long are you planning to be in Spain with the girls?" "A month, maybe longer," he replied. "Really? When we were there filming, you worked a bit, but if you're all over the place, will you still manage work?" He smiled at her. "I'm retiring. Only Julia knows right now, but our company is getting sold. I'll cash in my stock options for a good amount, so I'll be okay financially. Not rich, but comfortable. Robert is thrilled. He's going to do very well. He's coming to the wedding, by the way. I could stay in Spain the whole summer, but Julia needs to return. After the trip, I'll probably help Scott finish their house and assist Morgan with the food bank. I might take over managing it when she's ready to step back in a few years. Julia plans to use the trip to find some new suppliers for their restaurants. I can probably help with that. I know a lot of people throughout Spain. I'll give her a list, and she can meet some of them during the trip. I was hoping you would say that. I'd also like you to introduce her to a few in person." Kat replied, "If I come, I will. I am so envious of the two of you." At that moment, Julia came outside with the girls. "Good night, Aunt Kat," they said as they hugged her. It was a sweet moment. Eva was right behind them. "Mom, we have to get going if we're going to meet Todd at his parents' house for breakfast." Kat noticed how happy Eva looked around Todd. She had been smiling since they met at the airport. Kat playfully said, "Breakfast? You know I don't look my best in the morning." Eva rolled her eyes. "Mom, you always look great. You could just wake up and you'd still be the prettiest person there." She said, "That's not true. They've already seen you." Eva laughed. "Thanks, Mom. I don't totally agree, but Todd thinks you're amazing, and that's what counts." With the girls back inside, Kat told Julia, "I just told Hank how much I admire the two of you." Julia replied, "You shouldn't feel that way. Your whole family is here. You could be here too. You'd be welcomed with open arms. I mentioned you to the owner, and she was already asking me to get you to come as a guest chef. You may not be as well known here as in parts of Spain, but I believe you'll find success here and still spend time with your family." "You wouldn't mind?" "Why would I mind? I could learn so much from you. My daughters think you are incredible and can't wait to spend time with you this week. Your family, even that goofball I'm married to, loves you. If you stay away, it won't be because you aren't wanted or loved." Eva hugged her mom. "See, Mom, the only one keeping you away is you." Kat knew that was true. She just needed to find a way to make it happen. "We'll talk about it this week." Kat and Eva wished everyone good night and headed to Eva's apartment, where she and Todd would stay for a while after their honeymoon. Once they left, Julia asked Hank, "What do you think? Will she move here?" "I have no idea. We're not as in touch as we used to be." Julia laughed. "Okay, husband, just play along. Before Kat had her tough years, what would she have done?" "Simple. She would be wherever her family was." "Good. I'll tell Mrs. Rousseau to plan for Kat possibly being here, and I'll get Uncle Bill to start talking to some real estate agents about finding her a nice house." Hank joked, "What? She's not going to live here with us?" "I would be okay with that for a couple of months, but I don't need the competition. I'd prefer it to be in the winter when it's too chilly for her to enjoy the outdoors." "Oh, and I can definitely promise you that if she ever spends the night here on her first night, I'll make sure everyone else is out of it, and she'll hear me express my affection for you very clearly. Do you understand?" "Absolutely. You know I only have eyes for you." "You better. Remember, I have my ways to keep things interesting." "Well, just don't give me a reason to think differently. Come with me and I'll show you why you should never doubt my commitment." Julia was a caring and devoted partner. He wasn't worried about that. She showed that night why Hank would always want to be with her. Eva and Kat woke up early to make it to the 7:30 breakfast at the Parton's Orchard. Ben and Marjorie Parton were very kind hosts and had an amazing spread of food for everyone. They served plenty of homemade jams made from the fruits grown on their farm, which Kat enjoyed and appreciated. After breakfast, the group toured the orchard, and Eva pointed out where she and Todd planned to build a home soon. Eva said, "Daddy's going to help us with the down payment to get started. Todd and I hope to make you a grandmother very soon, so you need to think about how you'll be around for that. I want my mom close by." Kat understood her clearly. While the rest of the week was not quite as exciting as her first day in Asheville, Kat had a wonderful time. She spent a lot of time with Eva, who seemed happy and confident as she faced a big change. Kat felt uplifted just watching the strong woman Eva had become. Marilis was usually nearby too, though she would sometimes visit Scott and Tina to help with Samuel. Kat saw Eric every night at Hank and Julia's house, where she always felt welcome. Kat was trying to figure out a move to Asheville, a place she had always liked, and was not sure how to make that happen aside from just going for it. On Friday, the rehearsal and rehearsal dinner were simple and nice. The dinner took place at one of Julia's restaurants. One of Eva's college friends came in to be a bridesmaid along with Amber and Bella. Tina was her maid of honor. On Saturday, before the wedding started, all the bridesmaids were in the bride's room, along with Marilis, Julia, and Kat. Mother and daughter both glowed as the moment approached. A nervous Eva wasn't saying much, but exchanged many heartfelt looks with the other ladies in the room. Morgan and Bill were seated next to Marilis as honorary grandparents. Julia and Kat were beside each other, watching as Hank walked Eva down the aisle. Kat felt like cheering when Hank answered the common question with, "Her mother and I." She thought, "That's right, she's ours. We did it. He and I raised that wonderful woman." In her life up to that point, it was the greatest achievement she had known. That was probably when the last few years really hit home for her. For some reason, she had been measuring success in the wrong way. After watching Eva all week, she felt that she had done something good with her life. Though she was a bit envious of Hank getting a second chance to do it again with Amber and Bella, she felt lucky that they wanted to spend so much time with her that week. It made her feel grateful. Hank was busy at the reception, excited to dance with many women he cared about. Robert and his wife were also there, and Robert took the time to dance with Kat, allowing them to catch up. Todd's family came from a rural area of western North Carolina, which made for an interesting mix, but they were friendly and sincere. Ava's joy had rubbed off on Kat, who felt happier than she had in over 10 years. Throughout the reception, she felt welcomed, and a week before, she had worried about how she would fit in. Now she knew what she wanted to do. She just had to make it happen. Eva pulled Kat with her to help change into her going-away outfit before she and Todd rushed off to the limo and then to their hotel before their honeymoon in St. Martin. Kat helped her change and would take care of the wedding dress later. As they left the room, Eva told her mother, "I love you, Mom. Thank you for this week. It couldn't have been any better." Kat struggled to hold back tears. "Me too, sweetie. I've been excited for today, but I don't want this week to end. Move here, Mom. Then it won't have to end." Outside, the guests gathered to shower the newlyweds with birdseed. Kat accompanied Eva to meet her new husband, Todd. Just before they ran to the limo, Eva leaned in to tell Kat one last thing. "Mom, you have to move here soon. I'm going to have a baby." Kat looked at Todd, who knew what Eva was going to say. He smiled at Kat and nodded. Then they ran through the birdseed and into the waiting car that whisked them away. Hank and Julia, who also knew Eva's news, joined Kat. Hank hugged a still surprised Kat and said, "Surprise! We're going to be grandparents." "You knew?" "So far, Eva has only told Julia, you, and me. Todd will tell his parents when they return. I don't know what to say. I'm so happy. She's been glowing all week." "Now I understand why. She just found out the week before you got here." Kat laughed. "I guess I'll need to buy another house." Everyone laughed along with her. When Julia smiled at Hank, he felt, things will be all right. Kat did move to Asheville. She appreciated the offer to stay while she searched for a house, but she decided against it. Instead, she rented a place for 6 weeks until she found what she liked. She bought a house in a nearby neighborhood to Hank's, but she often visited his home since that was where most family gatherings were held. She completed her season with the network, but chose not to sign a new contract. She had built enough experience to appear as a guest on various U.S. cable shows to earn a modest income and gain recognition. She kept her YouTube channel, working with her mom, Amber, and Bella, which provided her with a little extra money. She had saved enough over the past few years, so finances were not a concern. Scott and Tina helped her create another PBS show, but on a smaller scale. She wasn't aiming to grow it like her previous show. With her savings, these smaller income sources were enough for her to live comfortably. She sold her house in Pittsburgh. While she thought she would feel sad, being close to Eva and Eric meant she could create new memories. Having her mom nearby was wonderful. They spent many summer mornings driving along the Blue Ridge Parkway, enjoying treats from local vendors, which she incorporated into her shows. Eva and Todd welcomed a healthy baby boy. Kat was in the delivery room to support them during the birth. She felt so grateful that Eva included her in such an important moment. Kat arranged for Julia to meet excellent suppliers in Spain while they vacationed together. It was a fantastic trip, visiting numerous cities and dining in several well-regarded restaurants where Kat knew the chefs. The change in her work and living situation was a huge improvement. She embraced the shift from being the young star to aging gracefully on TV. As long as she was close to family, she could handle whatever life gave her. Even with Kat around, Morellis continued to live with Hank and Julia because they, along with the girls, loved having her there. Morellis enjoyed sharing her life with them every day. Hank and Julia? Their life was wonderful. Julia's job was perfect for her, mixing restaurant management and cooking. Kat shone at that year's charity event, but there were also several nights each year when she and Hank shared the spotlight, with proceeds going to the food bank. Hank spent his time helping Scott finish restoring his house and assisting Morgan with the food bank. Restarting his life with Julia and the girls was truly fulfilling for him. Having Morellis live with them was a rewarding experience for everyone. Morgan and Bill missed having Julia and the girls nearby, but family events helped ease that feeling. They focused on Julia's happiness, and she was content. Most importantly, they cared about the girls. What had started as excitement for Mr. Hank years ago had blossomed into a deep affection for the man they now called Daddy. Hey audience, if you liked this video and want to keep up with more thrilling stories, make sure to subscribe to Prince Cheating Tales and hit the notification bell. You don't want to miss out on our upcoming adventures. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next wonderful story.